Yo, what's the rush? Wait up, will ya? You're welcome. Hey, keep it together. Do you really want to die here?
If I lose control, kill me without hesitation. It is your duty.
Of course.
Time to end this! Don't! I must!
Losing your grip already. How will this end? I wonder.
Lightning! You should have killed me.
Well, guess it's your lucky day. I'm not an executioner. Unless I have to be. Your doom is nigh!
One day I will meet my end.
Exorcist of the Shadow at your service.
俺のやりとはいつでも闇に潜んでいるぞ。 by my honor.
Anyone need an extra pair of hands?
I must not lose my humanity.
Well, I'm me, and there's no one I'd rather be. You can sit around and wait and see. For a moment I'll be standing free. So hurry up and wait for me. Got a bag of chips by the sea. The sun is blazing down. I've got my smile now. Here's the thing, your chips will really make me sing. Come on, relax and have some chips with me. Chill out, lay back, I'm right where I wanna be. We've got time to take it easy. You always tell me to speed up, but slow down. I've been kicking my feet up and just going to town. A bag of chips in hand, I got nothing planned, yeah. Good treats by the sand, you know I wanna chow down. Oh yeah. So when you ask me if I'm gonna stay, I'm promising you I will. 'Cause there's one thing we gotta do. Come on, relax and have some chips with me. Chill out, lay back, and right where I wanna be. We've got time to take, yeah. And I'm all that I wanna be.
I am the apex of myth and machine. The Kraken! Just another kaiju to fall upon my spear. You face Perseus! For New Olympus!
rises when I give the word.
Ladies and gentlemen, we arrived on day 2 of the MWI Open Qualifiers in North America, the final stop for NA Angels before Riyadh. The quest for victory for the top women's team in North America continues on their road to radiance. I'm your host Liz, joined at the desk by the best of the best, Stephweezy and Private Dancer. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. Day 2 of MWI. Day 1 was full of excitement. Went the distance. A very long stream, but nonetheless some amazing series. Some that went all the way. Some that were 2-0 sweeps, ending with a couple of surprises and some things that were expected. But nonetheless, it was a blast, and I'm glad to be here again.
Yeah, hats off to Liz, Weezy, and Boca Roscoe for that 10 hours of excitement yesterday. But here tonight, we will be putting the cap on the finals to crown ourselves a winner, and who's going to be going down for that invitational.
I know that's going to be super exciting. Can't guarantee that we won't have another 10-hour stream today, but let's first get a recap of the tournament bracket.
That's right, as we are going to now look at the bracket. Yesterday, full of excitement. Round 1, Area 77 up against War Angels, 2-1. Area 77 moving forward into the semifinals. Then we got to see Reignfall up against Max Foxes, knocking Max Foxes down to the lower bracket, and Reignfall up against Area 77 inside of the semifinals, ending with Area 77 falling down to the lower bracket and Reignfall earning their spot as the first team in the grand finals, which we will be seeing today. And then we get to see losers round 2, which is going to be War Angels up against Area 77.
Yeah, right now, a Reignfall sitting pretty up at the upper bracket, and a war about to happen here in the loser round 2 against War Angels and Area 77. Can't wait to see all the action.
And let's see our schedule for how these two matches will be arranged. First up, we have War Angels versus Area 77. Once again, they will be the first match of the day, showcasing themselves if they will improve from yesterday's match against each other. And then we have Reignfall versus whoever wins in that matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be a treat to see. Just even with losers round 2, War Angels up against Area 77. This is what we got to see actually yesterday. It was the debut, it was the opener. The first series of the day between both of them. Went the distance all the way to a Game 3. A reverse sweep, though, worked in favor for Area 77. But we also had like our longest matches, right? We had like a 29-minute, 47-second match of both teams fighting it out, trying to hold that banner for North America.
Yeah, here, best of 3 going to be for the lower bracket, and then the upper bracket final, the grand final, is going to be a best of 5. So potentially, we might have ourselves a little bit of a long night ahead of us, depending on how these teams go against each other.
And the teams, they are looking at a hefty prize pool if they do make it to Riyadh. We're looking at a $500,000 prize pool for the EWC. And for all our teams who participate in this tournament, the first place will be taking home 40,000 diamonds and a total prize pool of 80,000 diamonds.
That's right. It's definitely something to be excited about, not only for the diamonds, but also for that $500,000 prize pool out there if they do go out and represent North America inside of MWI 2024 Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. It's going to be a sight to see. We see a lot of teams getting ready. We know the Philippines just finished their MWI Invitational, and now we get to see who in North America will that be. 3 teams remaining as Mass Foxes was knocked out yesterday, but we still have War Angels, Area 77, and Reignfall here to fight the fight.
Yeah, it's a lot of excitement, a lot of build-up, a lot of practice, as we've heard from some of the interviews yesterday. A lot of practice and training been going into these matches here. So you know that each of these teams know exactly what's on the line.
Absolutely. And for our wonderful viewers joining us on stream, you guys are lucky because we have a giveaway for you right now. On the screen, make sure you type in the hashtag MWINA, or the mods will tell you to type in the exclamation mark MWINA, but either way, you have a chance to get the tournament chest. It is worth 599 diamonds. So it's a really nice skin that you're looking at. So make sure you type that into the chat. And if you win, our mods will contact you for your Discord number to give you that skin.
That's right. Definitely claim them while they're available live on stream. 10% chance for 10 of those amazing skins right there. And all you got to do is just join the YouTube chat for that giveaway. So hopefully you guys can be a part of that while the live stream's live. So definitely rise to Radiance and get those skins soon.
Yeah, you also do need to give them your Discord name at the end there as well, so make sure that you do have one ready for our mods. But, I mean, yeah, like you said, best types of skins are the free ones.
The free ones and then the luck-based ones. So you gotta see if it tests out your luck right there. And I saw yesterday a lot of you guys do type and do win the skin, and nobody contacts our mods with their Discord name. So make sure you have that ready. Now, first up, we have War Angels roster. Weezy.
That's right. As we take a look at the War Angels, losing to Area 77 on the debut yesterday, but still put on such a great fight all the way to a game number 3, able to go that distance and definitely has the potential to push forward today in day 2. We have Mao Mao in the XP lane, in the jungle position, X2 Lop, Tahinas in the mid, Yujiro representing the roam position, and Eka Cutie, who we've seen such a phenomenal force as their gold laner.
Yeah, phenomenal team ready here. They've got one more chance here to make it up to the upper bracket, but they do have to make it through Area 77, who has been putting up a fight of their own.
Absolutely, and we saw Eka Cutie with her mascot. So today, do you think we're going to see that again? And let's first take a look at Area 77's roster.
That's right. As we take a look, the aliens landing. Not the same Area 77 that we're used to seeing on the NA scene, but some new faces entirely, but still really great players. YQ, we saw that amazing interview yesterday with Liz herself in the XP lane. Saku as the jungler. Sky inside that mid lane position. The roamer is going to be Emily and Chinatsu as their gold laner.
Yeah, a star-studded cast here for Area 77, trying to bring that pride to the Area 77 name here. And what a better way than hopefully getting themselves a win in this series and bringing themselves to the grand finals.
Absolutely. And talking about bringing themselves to grand finals, we saw them the debut match yesterday against each other. Area 77 Angels had a very hard-fought victory. What do you think they can do today for both sides to maybe get a more decisive victory on their end?
An excellent question, and honestly, I feel like both of these teams were pretty much even when it came to the objectives, right? It wasn't really a one-sided story. It was more of just down to the wire at the late game who was able to win that team clash to be able to close it out. But if I had to give a pointer for either side, I would definitely say take advantage of the early game and try and close out with the early finish. I think neither side has been able to do that so far, and if they can pull that off, I think that's the answer that they're looking for.
For me, it's funny that you bring up the word decisive, because that is something that I think will prevail. If either of these teams can be decisive in their rotations, in their pushing, in these objectives, I think that's what's going to be the game clincher for them. Especially as we were talking about, these games kind of went on a little longer because of maybe being a little bit more safer, maybe be a little bit of respect for the other team. But you've already faced each other a few times now. You know what you're in store for. Now it's time to really put that pedal to the metal right from the get-go.
Right from the get-go is the key word. Because Area 77 Angels, in their matchup yesterday, had a very strong opening, I would say. For most of the games, they were winning hard early game. But late game was not as expected. So today, let's see how they will do against the War Angels once again. Guys, take it away.
Yes, we are now jumping into the draft. Game number 1 for day 2, MWI NA Open Qualifiers, lower bracket. Now, it's knockout phase, right? So anybody that loses in these series today will be knocked down. And today we'll be honing a team, the grand champion for North America, for that ticket to fly out to MSC. Today, though, Area 77 War Angels for the lower bracket. Best of 3. Which way will it go?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Yesterday, I got to just see it as a fan of viewing, just like everybody else. Today, I get an up-close personal view of it, and already we're going to start off with that Moskov ban, which I think we were talking a little bit about off-screen, about the way that they were able to utilize that yesterday. So big, I want to say a smart ban there. We've already talked about it. They faced each other before, so they know what's coming. So here is where you really get to like sharpen your sword and really kind of push the envelope, so to speak.
Yeah, the Moskov's been such a threat. I mean, we kind of made a joke out of it yesterday. Every time Moskov was on the playing field, you're expecting a 20-25 minute game minimum. It was the way that it kind of played out. So I think they're kind of heeding our words from when Liz asked that excellent question on what can these teams do for this series. And that's definitely taking advantage of the early phase. Now, the Hereth has been taken out as well. It's been such a strong force. A lot of these teams have been prioritizing junglers up front in the draft. We've been seeing a lot of Fredrins, a lot of Barats kind of sneaking up in here. Both of them high value targets to be able to solidify in the draft for both sides. You know who we also have been seeing prioritized in MWI more than I've seen anywhere else? The Kufra. It's been so heavily focused on.
Well, I mean, it's honestly kind of curious to me as why we haven't seen it anywhere else. Because, I mean, what he brings to the table is all that setting potential. Not just setting potential, but he's got a very long line once you use his combo of just to be able to stun the enemy and allow you to kind of maneuver around, get the damage on there as well. But, I mean, it does take a very particular hand to play to be able to kind of land those ultimates, to land his ability to kind of get in there as well. So, I mean, we're not seeing it really kind of banned out here yet. Going with the kind of the standard. Lilia, very interesting focus on the mid there. Matilda is, I want to say, pretty much grassroots when it comes to banning and taking that off the table.
I wonder if they're going to go in for the Fredrin here or if they're going to try and lock in a marksman. I think Fredrin would be a safer pickup. You know, another thing that I haven't really seen prioritized, at least heavily here. Okay, so they're going to go in for the Barats instead. So I'm expecting the Fredrin to go to the side of War Angels, possibly pick up a mage here. It may be a game plan, but the Barats is definitely, like we said, one of those high-value targets when it comes to the jungling position, especially in MWI. That's all we've been seeing is Barats, Fredrins. We got one showcasing of a double assassin gameplay, which was at Amon versus the Lancelot, which was definitely a treat to see. But I'm expecting with these two teams, like I said, they like to go the distance. They like to go to about that 20-minute mark plus, and they need something that's a little bit more frontline-ish, such as that Fredrin, such as that Barats to be able to do that. Maybe even an Akai can kind of get the job done to bully those enemies outside of these jungle objectives. But there goes that Fredrin, kind of textbook here. But, you know, the question still stands. Do they go for the mage prio here? Do they pick up that mage nice and early? Or do they try and pick up a marksman? Anything on the table? Oh! That's another thing we've seen yesterday pretty often. Yeah. Esme.
I was about to say, a little bit, Azrael's been very slowly creeping her way up into the meta. Some of the changes she had was a little bit less mana cost, some shorter cooldowns, but she also kind of benefited from that, I want to say the slight tank buffs that kind of came out there. It makes her a little bit meatier, a little bit longer lasting in a lot of these fights. She does lack a little bit of CC when it comes. You do have the Falling Star Moon, but as far as CC kind of comes out, a lot of XP laners have been favoring that lately. But, I mean, she's still able to hold her own, especially as you get into the late game as a front liner. She's hard to beat.
Yeah, and speaking of hard to beat, I'm going to go ahead and pick up the CC, kind of match her inside of the XP lane, at least match the mobility, right? We've seen the CC be one of those high mobile heroes that can kind of get to the back line with little to no problem. But I feel like Esme's just as good to be able to do that. Esme's also able to sustain herself a little bit better and limits Area 77 if they do decide to go for heroes that can provide that shield. I mean, if we're noticing so far, a couple of heroes still on the table. Angela, Rafaela, Faramis, a lot of supports on the table to keep that Barats alive, especially in these engagements. And I'm expecting one of those three to be picked up here. Maybe even a Florian, worst case scenario, maybe picked up here. But there goes that Cooper we were talking about, right? It's just been on fire in the MWI, especially from Yujiro. I think that's Yujiro's comfort pick. And she's been doing really well on it. So that is going to provide a lot of frontline pressure for them. That's three frontline heroes, right? You have the Kufra with the bouncing ball, has the Times for Vengeance, Times for Rage for the setups. You have the Fredrin, who can sustain himself through a lot of damage and kind of can take a lot of these objectives if you leave him unchecked. and the Esmeralda, who's just the queen of shield, able to keep herself alive through the heart of the battle. But when we're looking at the side of Area 77, that Natan, I think it's going to work out well. As long as I can get to that mid to late game, that's when he can hit those power spikes, and he should have an easier time melting down the beefier composition.
Well, as if reading your mind, you do see that Angela getting banned out there, so a little bit of sustain kind of taken off the board. I want to say, though, on the side of War Angels, we've got a very beefy, very tanky composition from them. I almost kind of feel like it's a little too much, unless depending on how Mau builds the Esmeralda, maybe we put a little bit of damage onto her as well. What happens with a lot of these tankier compositions is as you move into the late game, you're still getting melted, and that's going to be a big problem, especially against people like Natan. Cece's going to be able to kind of start getting a lot of that damage off, and especially the mobility that she's going to have. So definitely looking at the side of War Angels to kind of start prioritizing here in the second half some of that burst damage coming out there from the marksman lane, coming from the mid lane as well.
And still mages yet to be picked up for either side. Maybe the Vexana, maybe the Navaria should be picked up here. I think the Vexana may be a little bit better for Area 77 if they can slot that in. Maybe even, I guess the Navaria could also work for them, especially with that dive-eccentric composition from War Angels, especially with the Kufra. Every time you see a Kufra, you're expecting some great setups to dive into the turret. That's just like a full dive roamer right there that you have to watch out for at all times. So I would say definitely a mage that can kind of play from afar and keep that distance, and I think Navaria would be the perfect one for the side of Area 77. But time will tell. I do see the Lilia banned out, and they need something at least for, I guess the early game's okay. They have okay early game damage. I think maybe if this is War Angels we're talking about, they're a team that likes to play for the late games. This is why I'm really expecting that Navaria to kind of slide through here. But Ixia banned off the table, trying to limit a little bit more of the gold hero pool. I mean, there's a lot of marksmen taking off right now, right? The Roger, the Harriet, the Ixia, and the Melissa, and the Moskov on top of that. So they're really getting into, something crazy, Private? Yesterday, we got to see a Leslie get picked up.
Yeah, I mean, there was a time way yonder ago where Leslie was a decent priority up there. We do see Eka Cutie going to go ahead lock in that carry. Now, one thing I wanted to mention too is you pointed out the Navaria for Area 77, and I almost feel like it's the opposite that would be true. Vexana might be better for Area 77 just because of that CC that she can do to these very still-standing heroes. Navaria, I mean, if you have it on Area 77, you've got an Esmeralda, you've got a Fredrin, you've got a Kufra that can basically wall around a lot of your squishier targets, which is where Navaria really kind of shines. I mean, you can put damage onto some of the tankier heroes, but I mean, you're kind of wasting, I want to say, the big burst potential that she has during a lot of that. We do have Carry out in the field. I mean, who else is left? We got Brody still available out there. Maybe kind of getting down to the hero pools of Area 77. Oh, that was very fast. They went with the Grok and the Eve, which I have not seen in a very long time, and I'm actually happy to see her here in the meta now.
Yeah, I don't know, because Eve is still very stationary, so you are going to have to keep that in mind when she does drop down that RWM. Could be a possible problem. And I feel like the RWM's range is just not as big as I remember it being on controlling the entire area. I got to see it a little bit on a turtle play, and it really only covered the entire turtle, but it didn't cover the turtle pit. So it was easier to kind of wrap around and just get to the Eve. Not to mention, wait a second, there's a Kufra and an Esmeralda on the side of War Angels. Both of these heroes are counters to the Eve. Both of them can dive in on top of that RWM and deal some massive damage. Speaking of things and damage, the exact opposite, some support being thrown into the mix from the side of War Angels. That Faramis, who we've seen time and time again on the pro scene for North America, back again for some great utility. Both sides locked and loaded, ready to go into the land of Dawn for game number 1 of the MWI 2024 NA qualifiers. Let us know which team you guys think will go the distance. Which team will rise to radiance?
I think you hit the nail on the head. This is going to be a very busy and moving game for Sky if she wants to be successful on that pick, especially with how the meta has shifted right now. We got a very engage-heavy lineup from the side of War Angels. It's going to come down to macro. It's going to come down to those rotations and how you can set up these objectives. But I, for one, am ready to get this match going, Weezy.
Yeah, and I think these teams are too. Like we said, whoever wins here will be moving forward for a ticket to the grand finals up against Reignfall. Whoever loses here will be knocked out of MWI 2024 NA Qualifier. So this is their one shot at success in this best of 3 to be able to prove their merit. And that's what we're going to be seeing today. A couple of interesting picks, though. That X Factor from Sky on this Eve. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on as we now jump into the Land of Dawn. Area 77 up against War Angels.
Ladies and gentlemen, one team will move forward. One team will be going home as we start off this series. War Angels taking on Area 77 Angels. The battle of the Angels ready to take flight here.
Yeah, that's right. Ready to take flight. But we got to figure out which one is going to actually be able to take off here. Now, both of these teams, a little bit of history from day one. For those who were not able to see it, they fought it out as the debut match. The first series of the day went the distance all the way to a game 3. A reverse sweep worked in Area 77's favor, though. But all the games are over 20-25 minutes long. And a lot of the early game pressure, most of the time, was working inside of a War Angels' favor. But then Area 77 was able to kind of push through toward that late game and close it out at that 25-30 minute mark. So jumping into their second series against each other for day 2, I'm expecting some great early game pressure from both sides. Whoever can kind of control this early game may be able to have the slight advantage to close this out a lot earlier than that 30-minute, 25-minute threshold we were seeing yesterday.
Yeah, Mamo actually sitting very, very low at that XP lane right now. Is going to have to go home. I mean, that's going to cost them a little bit of gold as she's going to be back to the base and have to run back to Hina's, taking a little bit of damage. Wall from Chinatsu does provide a little bit of, I want to say it's a little bit of a hint of things to come. Not as effective here in the early game, but as we start moving into the late game, that preciseness with it can be a huge hindrance for the War Angels.
Speaking of War Angels, we are seeing Ekacutie running on this carry. Did decide to go in with the Brave Smite, not the Quantum Charge that we see sometimes. Sky, though, will get first blood. Is going to find Mao Mao.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting thing too. We were talking about the real world manipulation coming out from Sky, or from the Eve. That's kind of been a little lackluster lately. However, some of the other things that have kind of been buffed on the Eve is a lot of those just damage from her normal abilities, her speed, and the amount of burst that she can actually dish out, especially here in the early game.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be keeping a close eye on, how does Sky paint into this picture. But now, the battle over the Lord Turtle.
Yeah, big pop up there on the Yujiro. Sky comes out, is able to find the kill there. X2 Lop in trouble, is going to be able to dash away. YQ trying, or YQ in chase, but gives up a little early there. Saku now in enemy territory, feasting on this buff.
That's okay. I said Lord Turtle. We gave the turtle a title before that, the Lord Turtle.
Lord Turtle.
Have to make sure we address him correctly as we step into the Land of Dawn. But nonetheless, yeah, first turtle going to Area 77. YQ having a little bit of a hard time on that Esmeralda. We talked about Esme kind of stepping back into the scene, and so far it's doing a great job for the early game.
Yeah, and backing them off there, you can see already being a very ferocious up at the top. But it's been a little bit of back and forth. There was a point where Esmeralda was actually being pushed back, and Mao Mao actually had to go back to base a little early. So already starting to catch up, already starting to push forward. We were talking about it. We're kind of waiting. We need to start seeing a little bit more of these very quick rotations if we don't want to see this game go into the long haul. Now, not that I don't like the long games, but it just becomes more of a 50-50, and you kind of lose your advantage. A little bit of engagement coming out here. Yojiro is going to go ahead and back up. A little bit of slow. We do have a knock-up that does land, followed by a Detna's Welcome, and X2 Lop in trouble. Sky with the killing blow is going to be able to get their third kill of the game.
Yeah, finds the jungle. They're not done, though.
Yeah, now actually they're in trouble. They're surrounded. They have nowhere to go, but this is very dangerous territory. Are we going to be able to juggle the aggro? A lot of damage coming out. We have the Nether Realm out too. Saku trying to cut off their escape. Is gonna feel the burn, gets taken down. Saku down, trades his life for that kill. 4-1 with Area 77 Angels up by 3.
Yeah, definitely trying to take advantage of the early game. We talked about needing to see one of these sides be a little bit more aggressive and try and make these early plays. And so far, that team right now is Area 77. Sky on this Eve is going crazy. 4-0-0.
Yeah, a great amount of clear from them, and Chinatsu in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to have to back off. Yujiro very bravely standing there in the fray, but does pay for it as he gets taken down by Area 77's marksman. It is now 5-2 as we go ahead, set up for this next turtle. Mao Mao and X2 Lop looking for an opportunity, looking for an angle here. They do find Chinatsu in the bush. He is going to have, or she is going to have to back up as this turtle very smoothly goes to Area 77 Angels.
But traded off by War Angels bot side, you are going to see Ekacuti trying to hurry up and burst down this tier 1 turret. And I don't even think Apsy's going to be able to get in there in time. Apsy already knows that she's not going to be able to close the distance. Just going to wait, let it be taken down, and that will be an equal trade for the side of War Angels. Honestly, probably working a little bit more in their favor just because that was Ekacuti that was able to kind of take that down and picked up a kill on top of that, which is going to put her a little bit ahead of Apsy.
Yeah, it's those slow auto attacks on your tower that hurt the most when you can't make it down there just are powerless to just watch it. I want to say a big surprising thing here, Eve, just the clearing speed now is just up there. She's able to get the clear, able to rotate very quickly. Area 77, I mean, maybe this is the ace in the hole that they have for them. Something that we thought, I mean, we haven't seen in the meta so far. Oh, Tihinas in a little bit of trouble. A wall cutting off the escape, but not too much. Not too wary for them as they move to the top lane.
I think one of the funniest things is those Guardian barriers trapping an enemy from being able to run away.
Oh, Detna's welcome is out, but they don't go for the stun. Oh, from the backside, Chinatsu out there. Apsy able to find themselves a kill on the Ekacuti. X2 Lop finds a kill. They are chasing Apsy. He does not have the ultimate to get away, is able to kind of scurry his way back to the safety of his tower.
Yeah, you're going to lose Chinatsu for Ekacuti, a roam for a marksman. Now, we did see War Angels swap lanes, though. You got to see Ekacuti was able to take that turret on the bot side, now shifting over to the XP lane, forcing Apsy to kind of rotate over as well. Apsy, though, leading in terms of kills and still up in gold compared to Ekacuti. He does have that lane advantage, taking that first turret of the game, but 2 turtles to the side of Area 77, which is making that difference right now, up by 2,000 gold overall. But most of the kills going to Sky on this Eve. We got to see the Eve. Actually, this is the first debut of the Eve in the MWI 2024, and so far it's been pulling out pretty well. I want to see how it kind of goes into this next neutral objective. But Sky is definitely something War Angels has to kind of look out for. This turtle, so far all of them have gone to the side of Area 77, but War Angels looking to contest.
Yeah, this is all going to come down to target prioritization. If they can find Sky, if they're going to be able to lock down Sky before she's able to do even more damage than she's been. We do have another Adeptna's welcome there. Forces the stun out. Real world manipulation is out, is going to find another kill onto X2 Lop, setting it up. Tihinas in trouble, is going to pay for that with her life, and that's going to be another turtle going to Area 77 Angels, while Yujiro and Ekacuti forced to try to defend this tower, but they are surrounded. 4 more members of Area 77 looking to smack their lips on another meal. Ekacuti in trouble, gets forced backward, trying to put out the damage. Yujiro did a good job, but is going to pay for that defense with her life.
My goodness, Area 77, phone home, 3 turtles. And also able to put a lot of pressure on the top side to take that tier 1 turret. Apsy now finding her second kill of the game, definitely coming online a lot earlier than Ekacuti, and looks like they're trying to set up for a possible play for the tier 2.
Yeah, they are. Oh, Sako actually gets scooted up, but does take down Tihinas. Big pop-up lands onto Ekacuti and X2 Lop. They're going to go ahead and retreat back in here, but not before cleaning up War Angel's jungle.
Yeah, going to go ahead and clean house on the top side. They want more Yujiro there to defend.
Well, this is exactly what I was talking about. I'm wanting to see more aggression, forcing out the side of War Angel. Yujiro is powerless to do anything but watch as his tower gets taken, and he is pushed back. Now, like clockwork, Area 77 going to move to the mid. They don't have minions just yet to go ahead and force a play there.
Yeah, but able to take the tier 2 on the top side and the tier 1 in the mid. That's a lot of map prio for the side of Area 77 to kind of lean on, especially only being 9 minutes in. Like we said, both these teams, when we seen them fight it out yesterday in day 1, they went all the way to a 25-minute, 30-minute game. But this time around, Area 77, they're the ones leading in the early phase. Usually it's War Angels that kind of leads the way in this. And now Apsy will be able to take the turret on the bot side. So all tier 2s have fallen in Area 77's favor. A major advantage as we are before that 10-minute mark. You are going to see the push, though, on the top side from War Angels.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and be able to get this. YQ not going to be able to do much here. But I want to say this is just such a great macro by the side. Oh, Apsy is going to be able to find a kill there as well and take another tower for Area 77. But I was going to say these towers right now, the macro here, the fact that they have forced their way all the way to the high ground of War Angels on the top lane means that this next Lord is going to be at the top lane, and you're going to be able to mount a lot of pressure at the bottom, which is what you want when you have a Lord fight, to have it on one side of the map and your team on the other side of the map, to be able to kind of force War Angels to spread thin and try to defend most of the map.
Yeah, right now, Area 77, 5 turrets to 2 against War Angels right now, 3 turtles to none, and 12 to 3 in terms of kills, just leading all across the board so far in the last 10 minutes, and now invading the jungle for War Angels. They're going to try and push in for this tier 2 in the mid lane. You see the Lord on the top side. Tier 2 on the bottom lane has been cleared as well. Only one tier 2 standing in the mid, and that looks to be possibly being pressed in by Area 77 here in the next few seconds.
Yeah, they're going to go all hands on deck, forcing into the mid. That's going to be short work for that mid. Only high ground remain for the War Angels, and they're spreading up to top. Still, they haven't even taken down. Oh, big wild charge lands into the back line of War Angels. Executing, able to find a kill, but not before trading one of their own. Down goes X2 Lop. The core getting bursted down, almost down to 50%, down to a third, looking to close this up early. Area 77 with a very quick, very decisive first victory.
I see a lot of smiles on those cams. They're able to get that victory, a nice and early finish, a totally different story from the Area 77 we were seeing yesterday going up against War Angels. As we do take a look at the post-game stats, 6-1-6 over there for Apsy. Last minute on this Natan, but honestly, a lot of it has to go to credits of Sky. Those RWMs, those real-world manipulations, dropping down, controlling entire zones, controlling turrets, create the opportunity to get those kills for the side of Area 77. Really good synergy, and War Angels just had a really hard time kind of faring off against it. So for game number 2, we gotta have to see War Angels be a little bit more aggressive in the early phase. I feel like Area 77, they were being aggressive as soon as they spawned in the Land of Dawn. You see them on the bot side trying to get that kill on the bot lane, trying to find Echo Cutie, and these are the things you have to do to win.
Yeah, and this is kind of what we were talking about. That Area 77 never really had a problem in the early game. It was just kind of closing it out. And here, as if kind of making a statement, these ladies showed that they are able to kind of carry that momentum that they have from the early game and get a very quick, very decisive victory early on in the game before War Angels even had a chance to catch their breath.
Yeah, and they didn't give them any room to breathe in that game. That was the fastest game I want to say we've seen so far. I think that was even faster than Reignfall's matches up against Mass Foxes, if I'm not mistaken. And definitely the fastest game Area 77 has had so far. I feel like they've scaled a lot better after having their match up against Reignfall in the upper bracket, and being able to kind of play against a team who's more early game fashion has helped prepare them for their opening today up against War Angels, because you can definitely tell the early game has improved significantly since day one.
Yeah, and here, I mean, just a lot of examples of how ready they were for a lot of these objective fights. And then I mean, to be able to put on the demo and have another replay of the another 4-man gank up at top, they were just doing exactly what you need to when it comes to these ganks. And this is something I've always critiqued when it comes to a lot of these ganks, when you just kind of force your way in front of the enemy instead of cutting off the escape, making sure that they have nowhere to go. And that is exactly what Area 77 did here, like clockwork.
And it's just amazing how much they've improved in just one day. And, you know, it could be credit to having an analyst and a coach. All of these teams have analysts and coaches. Not something that we've actually had the pleasure of having on the NA scene for a while. Usually you see 1 or 2 teams kind of skate by with a coach, but all teams in the MWI have a coach along their side. As you are going to see the MVP go over to Apsy last minute with those amazing kills, be able to close out that game with the Natan, with the entropy, 6-1-6. But overall, just a great team in general. You got to see Apsy take the first turret on the bot side, made the decision to rotate to the top lane to force Echo Cutie from the side of War Angels to rotate alongside her. And that was just the beginning of what led to her earning this MVP.
Yeah, I mean, and it wasn't a huge effect in the early game, but as soon as Apsy came online with a few of those items, got that Feather of Heaven, was able to really start dishing out the damage, allowing Nathan to come online, allowing them to get a lot of these kills. Because I want to say that for the first half of it, it was the Eve that was doing a boatload of the work. But I mean, when it came up to the end, especially when it came to closing out the deal there, to push in that final push. The big damage coming from her.
A lot of damage, and honestly, it's something you have to kind of keep in mind. Like, they like to go for late game compositions, but the Natan is kind of like that mid to late game marksman, and that's what we got to see. It was about the mid game. I'd say right past the early phase, getting into that mid game, you got to see her kind of hit that power spike and get online, and they just didn't have a plan to really stop her. And overall, it was really just the synergy of the team. You could definitely tell they have a shot caller in game, because all of them were moving as a unit on majority of these objectives. It's like there was no point in that game where I felt like they didn't know where they were going. They always had a clear objective in sight, and that's what they went in for. And we got to see War Angels a little bit more reactionary than I would have preferred to see. They were kind of just waiting for the side of Area 77 to make their move and trying to hope they made a mistake. And unfortunately for them, they just didn't make the mistakes they were looking for them to make, and that's what led to that early victory for them. So, like you said, this is a best of 3, guys. This is day 2. This is the final day of MLBB Women's Invitational NA Open Qualifiers. So this is the lower bracket, best of 3. One team will be knocked out right now, and Area 77 has a potential to get the 2-0 sweep as they're at match point against War Angels.
Yeah, definitely looking to kind of state their claim here. Match point going over to Area 77. War Angels looking and fighting for their survival. I'm told that we are ready for that second match to see if War Angels maybe have learned something from that last match, if they're ready to kind of, because I don't want to say that it was too much of a draft issue. I mean, a draft does come into play. They did have a very tanky front line that didn't really pop. There wasn't a point where that composition was going to be popping off. It was going to be slowly creeping up, getting your items and stuff like that. Whereas Area 77 had a composition that right from the get-go they were going to be able to put on a lot of aggression. We saw the clearing speed between the Eve and the Grok, and them able to kind of rotate very quickly to get those 4-man ganks. While, like you said, War Angels was being very reactionary, forced to kind of always be kind of very late. They were only able to reply. Somebody was ganking at bottom, let's go try to answer that. Somebody's going to the turtle, let's go try to answer that. And they never really, after that initial, I want to say, pushback, they never were able to kind of jog back up to the lead to be able to kind of enforce their own ganks or their own objectives.
Yeah, I mean, you got to see Area 77. They took all the turtles in the beginning as well, which gave them a massive boost. Even though you got to see Eka Cutie take that first turret, it just didn't equal the amount of objectives that went to Area 77's hands in this past 7 minutes. So, yeah, for game number 2, definitely focusing a little bit heavier on the objectives or finding a trade-off in the same value capacity is what War Angels should be looking forward to doing, and they definitely can do it. Like I said, yesterday they went the distance, went all the way to game 3. It was a reverse sweep though in Area 77's favor, so they definitely have that to kind of lean on. You can tell they're a little bit more confident with their performance from game number 1, and they could kind of lean on that for a momentum boost. But War Angels with their backs against the wall, sometimes I believe this is where teams do their best, and so I'm excited to kind of see as they jump into a game number 2 where this goes. Now, looking at the ban so far, kind of similar to game number 1, we are going to see the Roger and the Hera taken off the board, limiting the marksman capability, and the Lilia. Again, these are all the same 3 bans that we saw from the first phase. The Lilia definitely trying to limit, I would say, maybe just because of the fact that they're picking up a Baratz or a Fredrin. Maybe they're trying to limit the early game burst potential from a Lilia. It seems like they're really just trying to limit early game in general, because you're taking out a Roger, you're taking out a Harith, you're taking out a Lilia, and you're leaving things like, you know, these late game mages, and you're leaving these late game marksmen that you're hoping that they pick up, like that carry that we got to see, and a Natan who's more that mid to late. They even banned a Melissa. Which I would consider kind of that mid to late, kind of more mid than anything. And that's where Area 77 is trying to kind of profit in this draft. There goes that Moskov, though, who's been such a phenomenal force so far in MWI, taken off the table.
I want to say very familiar bands here, safe for that Barat, Area 77 not wanting to give that up to War Angels. While we're on the topic of draft, I do want to say, like, War Angels, I think we discussed it during the last draft, is a very thick and a front line without much consideration for the damage and possibly the early game potential. And there's just a lot of boxes that you want to check depending on the composition. But I want to say that one thing that always needs to remain in every composition is some type of early game asset, whether it's going to be that early game damage or some type of defense to kind of withstand the early game pressure. There's no late game if you can't create that path to late game, and you're getting stomped so quickly that it's hard for you guys to recover. On the side of War Angels, a good pickup, X-Borg. I do want to say that's a much I want to say firmer grasp. I'm going to assume that this is going to be on the jungle as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a safer option. I mean, it's flexible, right? You can put it in the jungle, you can put it in the XP lane. So if they do pick an XP laner that can counter the X-Borg, then just throw it in the jungle. You should be fine. The only thing with the X-Borg, though, is when it's in the jungle, if you don't get those early objectives, he has a very hard time getting back online. He has a very hard time catching back up in the economy. So they're going to have to be aggressive early. And we're talking about War Angels, we're talking about game number 1. They were not the aggressors in the early game. The aggressors were Area 77. So if you're picking a jungler who requires you to win the early game, you have to win the early game, or it's going to be a very hard time over there for X2 Lop. So we'll have to see where this goes. Speaking of junglers, though, textbook, we are going to see that Fredrin as a response alongside the Natan yet again, who had a really good debut for today, right? We got to see a lot of kills go over to Chinatsu on that. So definitely something that she's comfortable performing on. Now, we got to see what they're going to respond with. The Rogers taking off the table, the Harris taking off the table, the Moskov's taking off the table. We got to see the carry actually come out as a response to the Natan in game number 1. I wonder if they're going to go for that same plan, or are they going to kind of switch it up? Do they need something that can kind of get online a little bit earlier than that carry does?
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking here is Carrie, first of all, that late game potential from her, just we already saw it. Not going to be working. Area 77 have a plan for that early game. Not just that, but Carrie needs to be a little bit closer to the fight to actually have an effect. And with that, I mean, with what they had before, especially against a Fredrin, who can just basically CC chain you down to the ground, where you're not going to be able to move away once he catches you. I do like, it's almost, it's interesting to me. On the side of War Angels, because you have two heroes that you picked up that both kind of have different play styles, whereas T-Heenis on this Navaria, you have the kiting potential and the pokes. You're going to be wanting to create that distance, kiting backwards while still able to kind of clear out with those astral spheres. On the other side, though, you have Eka Cutie, who is going to be able to, with that full barrage, you're kind of standing still. You're going to need a front line to really hold the enemy in one place while you're able to get off that full barrage, get off all the damage that you want. And possibly, I mean, right now we have no real peeling ability for Eka Cutie, and that's probably where the focus for these next bans might go.
Yeah, it's kind of worrisome. The only reason that I say that is because if we look at a Fredrin versus an X-Borg, technically the Fredrin can invade with this composition and put some pressure on the War Angels, especially up against the Navarre, who's more that far mage, who takes a little bit of time to kind of get online, but does have, you know, the slow effect to be able to provide to the enemies as they do rush in. But I still think Area 77 can be a little bit more aggressive in the early game, especially up against an X-Borg, try and not allow that X-Borg to get these neutral objectives. So we'll see where this goes. But something that I have been paying a really close eye on is this Mathilda pick, slipping through the cracks in the draft, picked up by Area 77. The Mathilda has been such a staple hero in the pro scene for Mobile Legends, to majority of it's banned all the time, just because of the mobility, the sustainability that it can provide to the team. It can get Fredrin back out to safety. It allows the side of Area 77 to be very aggressive with an escape route on every single chance that they do invade, and that's something that War Angels is going to have to keep a close eye on.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, too, and especially now that you've got this Matilda, I think you've got an answer for the Navaria and that kiting ability. All the Matilda needs to do is kind of close the distance there. Then you're gonna have a lot of enemies heading your way there to be able to kind of shut you down, especially deep into the back lines. I mean, as far as mobility is concerned, maybe if you get the Hunter Strike on X2 Lop on his X-Borg, you might be able to kind of get forward, get backwards a little bit more quicker. Navaria is the only one with that real big kiting ability to kind of get forward and backwards, while these other two heroes are very stationary, very immobile, really kind of hoping for that big amount of damage and a little bit of CC that you get with Eka Cutie on this pickup as well. But it's going to be very interesting. We have the last bands coming out there. Minotaur taking off the playing field for Area 77, and then Arlot taking off for War Angels.
Yeah, and Yuzong picked up over there by YQ. We've seen YQ on the Yuzong before. It worked out pretty decently. I think me and you have both agreed on how we kind of feel about the Yuzong, right? Needing to have that perfect hand to be able to play it. You need to know when to engage, when to disengage. You don't want to get bursted down when you go in, but you also don't want to waste that Black Dragon by going in before your team's ready for you to take that fight. So that's what we're going to have to be seeing today from Area 77. But if anything's shown from game number 1, they're already locked in and they have the synergy louder than ever. For the side of War Angels, like I said, they're very reactionary in game number 1. And I think game number 2, we need to see them play a little bit tighter. With their draft, though, it's looking a little shaky. It's just all these heroes together and at that same place. Like you said, we still have yet to see who's going to be the initiator, because if you put that into the hands of X2 Lop initiating on these fights, I mean, that's very risky. Yeah, you have the Faraga armor, but speaking of initiators, Chip picked up alongside Ruby.
And that's not bad. On paper, I like this composition from War Angels because it gets it to a point that now all you have to do is kind of depend on Yojiro to just catch somebody. Catch somebody, get the stun, you've got a portal, and you've got the entire team on you. And then they disappear into dust as they go back through the portals there. So so that's not bad. And you got a nice bit of tankiness in the front line, followed by the CC from Momoy, with the I'm Offended, a lot of the other abilities there from the Ruby. So it's coming together. On the other side, you mentioned about being a little bit more pickier on the Yuzong, especially when he engages, but you don't have to be as careful when you have a Matilda on your team, because you can dive in there regardless of whether your team's ready or not. If Matilda follows you in there, you're going to have those guiding winds to take your entire team to get to the back line alongside you. So you're never, if played correctly, you'll never be at an opportunity where your team cannot close the distance on you in the back line. So it's very interesting the way a lot of these picks kind of play off of each other.
Speaking of interesting, there goes Farza, picked up by Sky. We got to see the debut of the Farza yesterday, but it was paired up against the Valentina, and the Valentina was the one that profited most. You are going to see that Feather Airstrike step into Landadon, but the thing about it is, with the Farza, she's very stationary, just like we said, the problem with the Eve. When you use that Feathered Airstrike, you can't really move, so you are going to have to keep that in mind, especially up against a Chip, especially up against a Ruby, especially up against a X-Borg, with the last Insanity to have to worry about. But speaking of worrying about things, Area 77, worry-free right now as they are sitting at match point up against War Angels. A chance to be able to knock them out of MWI and move on forward in the final seat for the grand finals up against Reignfall. War Angels definitely needs to make this victory count. They need to find a way to disrupt the early game synergy from Area 77 and push this through to a Game 3.
Yeah, the only answer that I don't see on the side of War Angels maybe just a little bit lacking in that early game, which we've discussed before. So it's going to be very dependent. I'm very interested to see how this goes. This is match point for Area 77. Angels taking on War Angels, who are fighting for their survival, ready. Both these teams, I want to say, ready to move back to the upper bracket.
Yeah, and now we are going to see X-Borg in the jungle up against the Fredrin. Like we said, X-Borg has to win in the early phase, but with the Mathilda on the side of Area 77 with a Fredrin, they may be able to invade, and I'm expecting them to try and do that here momentarily, especially up against War Angels, as you know that you want to disrupt that X-Borg as early as possible. Speaking of as early as possible, though, something that's interesting is the Farza pickup from Sky, right? Farza is an early game mage. As soon as you get that level 4, as soon as you get that Feathered Airstrike, you could possibly go in and try and get a quick pick off, and I think that's going to be the game plan for Sky.
Well, and that's why you're going to want to put a lot of pressure onto this XP lane. You want to make sure that Momoy is very available for a lot of these objective fights, because that's going to be who you want diving into the back line to really kind of set the tone. Actually, Yujiro in a little bit of trouble here. 3 members of Area 77 do have him cornered. Is going to be able to use that flicker. A nice use of that wall to get himself or get herself out of harm's way.
Yeah, definitely a high IQ play right there. I thought she would have fell. But using that flicker, it was a perfect opportunity. The only way, a one-way ticket back to the mid lane to be able to get back to the base for some regen. Now, nobody's fallen so far. Both teams getting ready for that level 4. But the aggression is there. Still from Area 77 is Saku dealing some major damage on the top side. You're already looking at Mao very low, but she is running this Ruby, so it's very sustainable. Once they get that level 4, I'm expecting them to try and rush in for this turtle play. Saku already in position to start it, though.
Yeah, you can see they're all ready. And then Momo very low, so you're not really going to have a lot of contention here at this. Ooh, taken very low, and the feathered airstrike going to put the finishing touches on that first blood for Area 77. This is going to go ahead, open up this first turtle without much contention from War Angels.
Yeah, that was, ooh, in the mid lane, Janatsu taking a little bit of chip damage. He didn't need the feathered airstrike right there. It was a kind of wasted, which could work in War Angels' favor. But they're not going to be able to go in again. This is being very reactionary. This is what we stated.
Yeah, and a big pop-up there lands. One way in trouble. Black Dragon is out, while Saku is going to go ahead and dive in and a kill on to the Ruby of War Angels, and I believe that is a buff refused from War Angels. Area 77, Saku doing a great job, is going to be able to get that retribution.
Again, cool, calm, and collective, focusing on the objectives, moving as a group. That's what we're seeing so far from Area 77. Seeing more a little bit of individuality from the side of War Angels. Right now, Mao having a hard time staying alive. Already found 2 deaths super early in the last 3 minutes. 1 turtle on the side of Area 77's favor is going to give them an XP boost. They do have the boost in the economy as well, up by almost 2,000 gold. We know Apsy got that MVP on the Natan game #1, especially after getting to that mid phase and getting those core items. And the way this is going so far, it may be a similar story if War Angels does not shut this down. War Angels is going to need to use those teleports over there from Yujiro on this chip to their advantage to kind of shift this this game in their favor for the early phase up against Area 77.
Well, and right now they're just not able to find the opportunities. I mean, you see the rotations from Area 77. It's always 4 men. X2 Lop in a little bit of trouble. Feathered airstrike going to be able to rain down more damage. We have a defensive last insanity used by X2 Lop. The entire Area 77 still giving chase. Full barrage is out, but does not catch a single member of Area 77. And that is some ultimates down. It's 3 ultimates down for War Angels.
Yeah, the wings by wings from Sky last second saw that full barrage and got out of there with a quick 180. Didn't take any damage. Very impressive. Right now, War Angels in a position where they're going to have to start finding some answers. They need to start finding some trades as Area 77 looking to try and get the snowball.
Yeah, and we do have a little bit of engagement here. Oh, it looks like another buff was refused by Area 77. They're doing such a great job, and we were talking about this. Once X-Borg starts to fall behind, you're going to have a heck of a time being able to kind of match up, especially on this front line, this tankiness that you have from Area 77. They're on the Lord here. Mao does see it, but the rest of the team is not in a position to go ahead and contest this. So, I mean, you have to choose your battles. What are you going to be able to do here instead of maybe possibly pushing your lane to get some help?
Yeah, bot side though, big engagement going on. You're going to see 1 member fall, Eka Cutie right there on the bot side. 1 member from War Angels falling, and they lost that second turtle as well. Area 77 just spread out across the board, knocking these objectives down at a very fast fashion. But look at the top side. Look at Mao. Going to go ahead and chip some of the turret damage, trying to claim this, trying to find a trade for what they lost.
Yeah, they actually might be able to get that turret. Oh, just a hair's health left on it. And the one thing I was almost about to critique is that you saw that the chip teleport went out for that fight that was happening at bottom, but Momo was not really in a position to kind of really join the fight because they were still trying to hassle whether they wanted to engage at that turtle or not.
Yeah, you are going to go ahead and see the gold lead for the marksmen is going to be heavily in favor for Apsy. 2,000 gold ahead of the marksman Eka Cutie for the side of War Angels. Did just pick up that corrosion side though, has the swift boots for the attack speed, for the slow to work in Ixia's favor, but it's going to be a little bit hard, especially against that Natan, who already has a lot of that magic damage starting to kind of rack up. Speaking of Apsy, we'll be able to take this tier 1 on the bot side. Nothing that War Angels can do right there to contest. Like I said, just very reactionary so far in this game. They really can kind of lean on this top side though. You can tell the hunger from Mao really wants to be able to take that down, but YQ on the Yuzong, both of them. With Yuzong up against the Ruby, the sustainability is there for both of them to be able to take that fight in the long haul.
Oh, we do have another ultimate coming out from Chinatsu. That's going to catch Yujiro and taking the tank down very quickly. Another full barrage goes out, but from the side lane, Eka Cutie in trouble using the flicker right next to Sky. And T. Heenis gets taken down by Asaku in the mid lane. That was a very close game. Or I want to say very close. Oh, and they're not done. X2 Lop gets caught by 2 members of Area 77 Angels, and that is going to be a wrap for her.
The flyby. Able to get the flyby for the kill. Takes down X2 Lop. Focusing on every single objective, not just the turtles, not just the lords, not just the turrets, but even player target prioritization is what we're seeing from Area 77 right there. And they're just getting everything they came for so far. The lead is steadily climbing up by almost 4,000 gold ahead of War Angels right now, and going to be able to get this turtle for an additional advantage. Right now, War Angels is in a position where they're going to have to start just being defensive and trying to wait for a mistake to happen, because if it comes to a 5v5 engagement, the heals, even just from Chinatsu, is going to be very hard to burst down. Right now, Chinatsu doing a really good job of giving that vision and pressuring the side of War Angels.
Well, and then you have the Feather Airstrike coming out there to kind of seal the deal for that mid tower and help kind of push away the rest of War Angels when it comes to trying to defend. I mean, I think they have gotten one purple buff and not been able to contest a single turtle. And with that, Moi Moi is going to go down at the top lane, another tower for the side of Area 77 Angels.
Yeah, and they have yet to lose a single objective or a turret so far, and have only, actually, they haven't, nobody's died on their entire team so far. Trying to go for that game. Right now, War Angels in a position where they're going to have to play a little bit safer, and honestly, it's a little tough for them to kind of catch back up, just because even with the Ixia, the damage is just not there. It's more for the crowd control.
Ooh, guiding wins from the background there. They're going to go ahead and latch onto the back line. This is what we were talking about. Executing goes down to Jiro, is next on the line. Last Insanity is out, but she is not able to. Oh, she does find one in the name of Chinatsu. Still has that immortality. Rest of the team doing the best that they can, and they do have the Appraiser's Wrath slamming down, finding a kill there. That is 3 down for the side of War Angels. They do pick up their first kill of the game, though.
All right, maybe seeing some signs of life, a little too early to tell, but we know one thing for certain, not a flawless game anymore, as Chinatsu is going to fall. We are seeing a request for a pause, so we'll be swinging back over to myself alongside Private to kind of break down a couple of things we've been seeing today, right? Right now, one thing's for certain, War Angels having a rough time. Area 77 looking to try and get the sweep.
Well, I mean, I want to say War Angels, well, not even just War Angels. Area 77 just came better prepared today than they did yesterday. Because I want to say a lot of the critiques I had from yesterday's game, whether it was the rotations, whether it was the shot calling, or being able to get those ganks with 4 people, they've cleaned that up here. And they have a very, very quick deciding factor when it comes to these lanes and these ganks and these objectives to really start off here. I mean, you can see here, all way into the back line while they're getting this turret. You can just see the aggression, the dominance here by them. They're not letting up. They're not slow playing it. They do lose one member here, but still, I mean, the damage has already been done, and you're sitting at about like an 8k gold deficit for War Angels.
Yeah, we talked about it, right? Picking up that X-Borg, you have to have a game plan for the early phase. You have to win. If you don't win the early game with the X-Borg, I mean, just statistically, that team usually loses with the X-Borg just because he can't ever catch back up in the economy. And then you just have to hope for the late game. You have to hope for your marksman to be able to pick up the pieces toward that 20-minute mark if they can do that. But right now, Area 77, they're not looking to go that late game. They know that's where War Angel starts to thrive. They know that's where they get more comfortable, when they don't have to worry about these turrets, when they don't have to worry about these turtles or these lords, and they just have to kind of fight it out in the 5v5 engagements down to the wire. That's when they start to shine, and I think that's their specialty. And like you said, right now, Area 77 coming a lot more prepared in day 2 than day 1. Definitely see some major improvements from them. All these teams, like we said, have coaches alongside them. Even War Angels, you know, right now they're having a little bit of a shakier game than we got to see them up against Area 77 yesterday. But hopefully in this later half of this game number 2, they can find the resolve.
I want to know whatever, like, Captain America's speech was given to Area 77s before they came into this match, because, like, I want to say it's a completely different team, to the point that War Angels not only have not gotten an objective, but they have not even been able to contest a single objective from Area 77. Like, look at this. Like, they can't. They're so far behind, and they just don't have the front line. They're not able to even get vision on what's going on here at the Lord.
Yeah, and with this Lord in their favor, they are going to look to take that tier 2 in the mid lane, possibly have a chance to be able to take down one of the inhibitors alongside it. Still under that 10-minute mark, slowly getting into that mid game. And this is where we're going to start seeing Apsy have a major impact for the team, already well ahead of Eka QD, 3-0-2 on the KDA. Eka yet to find a kill, not really finding what she was looking for on this Ixia pickup so far. There goes that Divine Glaive, though. We were just talking about Apsy, talking about the damage output, and now we'll have some additional magic pin to be able to dish that damage. Recall spamming, though. It looks like that may be what they need. I think if they like form a star in the mid lane, it should be able to boost their experience and their gold if they can pull that off. But Area 77 looking to go in for the contest on the tier 2.
Oh, man, and from the side, they're already going to come in. Full barrage is out. Black Dragon from the side. Ekacute's going to have to use that flicker to get deep into the back line, and they're no longer able to protect that mid lane. They're forced back. Lord coming up at top. Minions forced through the mid lane, almost down to just inhibitors for the side of War Angels. They are going to be able to take that Lord down, and a Sky going to be able to find the last touch on that mid tower. Just 2 high grounds left. Now they're going to go ahead and clash from the back line. Apsy going to find a kill onto Eka. Does dodge Tihinus with that Astral Sphere, so they are going to be able to get out without any damage really done to them and force their way. You do have the last Insanity at the bottom, looking for an angle, but is not able to find it. Area 77 doing such a good job waiting for the minions coming in, forcing their way out. Feathered Airstrike, putting the damage on the Moi, who is going to be able to get away. Yojiro is able to go ahead and kite back Saku. They're going to find their second kill of the game with that tower down. Area 77 Angels going to go ahead and back off and reset on the map. Only one more high ground left for the War Angels.
And they're not worried about Saku falling right there, right? It was a sacrifice. Well in favor for what they got out of it. Able to take the inhibitor in the mid lane, leaving the high ground on the bot side all by itself. Area 77 still having a lot of insurance on their side. Only 11 minutes in and still holding on to every single turret of the game. Look at the goal difference between just Apsy and Eka. 6,000 to 10,000 right there. You already see the Blood Wings picked up on top of that. Just having a really good time picking up those core items. And now we're going to really see that massive damage output with the entropy on this Natan come alive for Apsy. Immortality being picked up by Saku, getting ready to take this fight with a little bit more insurance this time. If she does fall, we'll be able to come back. We are going to see that Farza having that Genius Wand is going to have that Lightning Chuncheon as well for some massive damage output to the side of War Angels. And honestly, the Farza, it's definitely doing better than I expected it to. I mean, Sky's doing a really good job with positioning. We talked about the Farza being a little bit more limited in mobility when you use that Feathered Airstrike, but it hasn't been a problem so far. Sky's just kind of fighting from afar, using the Feathered Airstrike to pick up those kills or to provide the damage output. And now, Area 77 will go ahead and make quick work of this Lord.
I mean, with a 10k gold lead, I think a Layla at mid lane would be doing well. It's the just as a team right now, Area 77 is just being so dominant. I mean, the side of War Angels doesn't even have anti-heal at this point. So you've got a Chinatsu who is online with this Matilda. She already has the Flask of the Oasis. You've got a ton of shield and regen coming up for Area 77, and we just have no way to deal with it on the side of War Angels. We don't have the damage. We don't have the anti-heal right now. We're starting to fall more and more behind as we move into about the 14-minute mark.
Yeah, and Eka yet to see the impact of this Ixia so far in this game. Yujiro alongside it, haven't really seen too many teleports. Mao taking a lot of hits and not being able to sustain herself, and the lead is just so much for the side of Area 77, already up by almost 10,000 gold, and you're now seeing the siege for the opportunity on a game winner.
Oh, we do have the full barrage is out, but the Black Dragon, like clockwork, going to go back into there, try to fit the pop-up onto Eka, now putting the damage onto this tower. That is a clean sweep for Area 77 Angels.
The fancy finish able to knock down War Angels out of the MWI 2024 NA qualifiers, but they had an amazing journey. But Area 77 earning their ticket. The final seat in the grand finals now will be going up against Reignfall. As we take a look at the post-game stats, MVP over there into the hands of Apsy on this Natan. Like we said, just dealing that damage, especially toward that mid to late game, is where she starts to shine. And the early game presence from the side of Area 77 made that possible.
Yeah, and it's not too wary for the side of War Angels. It's just that when you're kind of competing at this level, you just always have to be adjusting, always have to have a game plan for the next day, always need to be growing. And it seemed like Area 77 kind of tackled that better this game. They didn't come with the same game plan that they had yesterday. They covered up a lot of the strategy holes that we saw, some of the critiques with some of the pushes and the I want to say maybe lack of aggression. We did say that they were very strong in the early game, even yesterday, but they kind of lacked that to really kind of see the victory through very quickly. But they really kind of they closed that up here, as you can see. I mean, I believe these were both around 10, 13 minutes.
Yeah, very fancy finishes at a quick fashion for the side of Area 77. Just one step ahead of War Angels every single moment of the game. You can definitely tell they've been preparing since yesterday when we got to see these two teams fight it out in the first series of the day, which led in a reverse sweep for Area 77. But this time it's a clean sweep, doing it a lot faster than they were able to kind of pull it off the first time these two teams fought it out. And like I said, they were able to face Reignfall. Maybe they learned a little bit more from fighting a team who's very aggressive in the early phase, and it definitely shows that their early game has improved since then. Able to take down this base crystal, and now earning a seat into the grand finals. I can't wait to see what they do up against their competitors Reignfall, but nonetheless a major victory so far.
Yeah, and I just such decisiveness, a great draft, and then a great a micro and macro, and just a synergy from it. We talked about it as well. It did seem like there was a shot caller. It's so evident just on how they grouped and how they got to those side lanes and how they kind of enforced their will through a lot of these objectives. Great game for Area 77 Angels.
Yeah, and speaking of great games, let's go ahead and swing on over back to the caster's desk. Liz will be joining us now after that amazing series.
Great games for sure. Decisive is the word that we want to use. We talked about this. We talked about wanting to see a decisive victory coming in from either side, and A77 just came prepared. Seems like they've done some work between yesterday and today to really turn those games around. And I'm curious what they were able to do, because yesterday the matches finished at like 1 a.m.
Yeah, and honestly, most of that was because of these two teams fighting it out. But you know what's different? In this series, there was no Moskov. The Moskov was banned every single game.
Yeah. Get away the Moss God. It's coming back. It's haunting you. So if you can't deal with it, just, take that away maybe.
Yeah, and honestly, it's looking very good for them going up against Reignfall. There's a lot of improvement from yesterday till today, and Reignfall definitely needs to be careful because they're not a team to take lightly, especially after that fast finish for both games today up against War Angels.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is I want to say very daringly that hopefully Reignfall has made some changes and adjustments to their game plan too, because I want to say if you're going to be playing the same plan against an Area 77 who has just shown how well they have grown, this is just it's a night and day from what we saw from the first from day 1 to day 2 here. So I mean, amazing game, and we're going to definitely, I'm ready to see what they have against their opponents in the grand finals.
Absolutely. And before that, we have an interview ready with Chinatsu from Area 77. Hello, Chinatsu. How are you doing? Congratulations on that decisive victory.
Thank you.
You guys did super well. So we were just talking about this. What did you guys do between yesterday and today that led you to that victory?
We slept and reset our mindset for today.
And that definitely helped. I mean, and talking about you, have you always played Roam, or were you assigned to play Roam by the team?
I was originally a Roam main, and I practiced gold for my position in MWI.
Oh, okay. But last game you were playing the Matilda.
Yeah.
You did really well, and you guys have been practicing for a while now. What realistically do you think your placement will be if you were to join the NACT?
Oh, our team?
Yeah.
Overall, as a girl team, I think we would place the same as A77.
Ooh, guys! You heard that, A77. The Angels are coming for you guys. And for you, Chinasu, are you currently in college, or what are you studying?
Yeah, I'm a college student, studying in pharmaceutical chemistry.
Wow. Wow, making your Asian parents proud. And how are you balancing gaming and studying?
It's kind of hard. I've been like on a really bad sleep schedule, guys.
Oh no. But right now, are you done with your exams?
No, not yet. Actually.
Oh
yeah.
No. Oh no. So everything's happening all at once.
Yeah, it is kind of all coming at once, but it's okay. It balances out.
Yeah. You're able to do it. I mean, studying chemistry, that's pharmaceutical chemistry. Proud Asian parents, and we're super proud of you guys, how you guys did in the last series, and best of luck to your next series against Reignfall.
Okay, thank you.
Man, if I study pharmaceutical chemistry, my mom will be pretty proud.
If I studied that, I probably wouldn't be here casting. I'd probably be doing something crazy. But nonetheless, a good player. And honestly, I'm glad that they were able to find the resolve from yesterday. And I can't wait to see what they do in the grand finals. Like Reignfall, we kind of mentioned, they were stampeding through a majority of the teams yesterday with little to no problem. Area 77, though, was able to take a victory off of them. And today, they're even stronger than they were yesterday. So I can't wait to see where this goes.
Yeah, a big bright-eyed and bushy-tailed after a good nap, sleep from yesterday's very, very long event. So, I mean, both teams, especially Area 77, they just showed some great strategies when it came up to these games here today. So you can see that was pretty evident.
And it seems like a good night's sleep is the answer to all your problems. So get some rest, guys. We're gonna come back for you in 5 for the next series, Reignfall versus Area 77 Angels.
I know sadly to hear because well, I know that I can be stronger if I'm with you.
music, I just can't explain it. The overwhelming sensation. You don't want to fight the temptation. Sit patient as we change the nation. The drugs, the keys, all connected. Blowing like currents, the vibes of electric. Burning just like a comet, destined for greatness and no one can stop it.
I know that leads to she becomes woo-hoo, I know we can change the world. It's time to shine. And the load is wasn't it out loud. Check it out, I'm a family. The color county, he can send me the cabin out of the new area tonight. Gonna out of night, gonna move on. That's now he wants to go at the yeah, the sick guy won't touch him. He don't you the shit they got. I'm a family. The color county, he can send me the cabin out of the new area tonight. Gonna get some time and get out that and we can have the garrison. That we can look the world that she wants to go. She'll say, she'll say, good young to no doubt. Or get arrested.
This will sting. You have my word.
Yo, what's the rush? Wait up, will ya? You're welcome. Hey, keep it together. Do you really want to die here?
If I lose control, kill me without hesitation. It is your duty.
Of course.
Don't! I must!
Losing your grip already. How will this end? I wonder.
Lightning!
You should have killed me.
Well, guess it's your lucky day. I'm not an executioner. Unless I have to be. To Miss Knife!
One day I will meet my end.
Exorcist of the Shadow at your service.
俺の刃はいつでも闇に潜んでいるぞ。Reclaim my honor.
Anyone need an extra pair of hands?
I myself lose my humanity.
I'm me, and there's no one I'd rather be. You can sit around and wait and see. For a moment I'll be standing free. So hurry up and wait for me. Got a bag of chips by the sea. The sun is blazing down. I've got my smile now. Here's the thing, your chips will really make me sing. Come on, relax and have some chips with me. Chill out, lay back, I'm right where I wanna be. We've got time to take it easy. You always tell me to speed up, but slow down. I've been kicking my feet up and just going to town. A bag of chips in hand, I got nothing planned, yeah. Good treats by the sand, you know I wanna chow down. Oh yeah. So when you ask me if I'm gonna stay, I'm promising you I will. 'Cause there's one thing we gotta do. Come on, relax and have some chips with me. Chill out, lay back, and right where I wanna be. We've got time to take. And I'm all that I wanna be.
I am the apex of myth and machine. The Kraken! Just another kaiju to fall upon my spear. You face Perseus! For New Olympus!
Alright guys, we are back. 5 minutes indeed. I was not eating, by the way, to the chat who just said that, but the players are taking a little break, and now we are right on schedule, 7 o'clock for the next upcoming match, Reignfall versus Area 77 Angels, and we're here with Stephweezy and Private Dancer.
How's it going, North America? Glad to be back after a short break. But nonetheless, we had an exciting series to open up the day today. We got to see War Angels up against Area 77. It didn't go the distance, though. It was two quick fancy finishes from the side of Area 77, but that's looking very promising for them to be able to go up against Reignfall, who had the fancy finishes yesterday. Now, we did have to say goodbye to one team, though, and that was War Angels, so bittersweet to be able to see them knocked out of the MWI 2024 NA. But like we said, they had an amazing journey up until this point.
Yeah, but that leaves us with two teams left here, and we were just talking about it during the break. Initially, I want to say it was there was a lot of fanage for Reignfalls, but with the match yesterday going the distance, with what we've seen from Area 77, looks like it could go either way.
Yeah, and with War Angels knocked down the bracket, let's take a look at the bracket, Weezy.
That's right. As we take a look at everything that's happened so far, like we said, 2-1 in round one for Area 77, pushing them forward to the semifinals. Lost to Reignfall 2-1, knocked them down to the lower bracket. And Area 77 was able to push through, though. Took down War Angels. We had to say goodbye to them today. And here we are with our two teams, our remaining two teams in the grand finals. Reignfall up against Area 77.
Yeah, chock full of these top 2 teams here for North America's women division here, ready to clash and claw it out for that position in the Women's Invitational.
Clash and clawed out, and we are going to see them fight neck to neck again against one another. What do you think are your predictions for this series?
Oh, it's a hard one. I mean, Area 77, they've been growing on me, just seeing how much they've improved from yesterday until today, and just Area 77, the name in general, just brings back so many good memories from us casting on the NACT scene. So I'm hoping to see it go the distance. Now, I don't want to jinx either side. So also, I hope to see it goes the distance, and hopefully we have the best team to represent us in the MWI going forward. But speaking of teams, Area 77 now on the board. The roster we've been seeing time and time again push through with the fancy finishes today. YQ in the XP lane, Saku in the jungle, Sky in the mid lane. In the jungle or in the roam position will be Emily and Shinatsu as their marksmen.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw these ladies compete here, switching up the roles a little bit for a much more fluid composition in games here today. So hopefully this is the that little magic thing that they needed to kind of push them forward.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see Emily playing the roam just now. We saw Ipsy or so in playing the goal lane. So I'm curious to see who is the main lineup for this series. Will Emily come back as the roamer?
Yeah, it's definitely the million-dollar question right now. I wonder if their competitors are going to switch their roster, if they're going to keep it the same. I do know one thing for certain, though. Area 77 today, with their changes, it's definitely been working. Like I said, fast finishes up against War Angels, totally different than what we saw yesterday. It was the longest games that I think I personally casted on the NA side of things. But today was a lot faster. It was around that 15-minute mark or shorter than that. So we got to have to take a look at their competitors as well and see who else they're going to be going against today in the grand finals.
Yeah, with that said, let's take a look at Reignfall, who you can see here, Jewel in the XP lane, Nicolette in the jungle, Sayori bringing up the mid, Ashley in the roam position, and Panda bringing up the gold lane. And it's hard not to be a fan of this team. A lot of familiar faces, a lot of familiar names. If you've been following North America esports here in Mobile Legends, a lot of these are very familiar, have been in top 8 very often. Nicolette's very star-studded, and I mean, we're talking about like top 3 teams in NACT almost every single season, whether it's Ackerman, Team Sexy, and just recently a very pivotal role in getting her team to the grand finals as well.
Absolutely, and this time we did the entire tournament. We saw the rise of different stars for the Women's League in North America, but this lineup for Reignfall are the star players in the Women's League because they've already shown their skills in the NACT.
Yeah, definitely some seasoned players over there. Like we said, that they have the most titles, the most decorated team so far in the entire roster of the teams competing today in the MWI, and it's no secret why they were able to make it here to the grand finals. Not even really a surprise, just because they've just proven to the world time and time again they're capable of going the distance.
Yeah, and the amazing thing for me is, like, even if you would have asked me to build like a top female team from North America from scratch, I want to say most of those names would have been on my list in the first place, as they've have the history here in North America, and they showed just what that history, what that experience leads. Is they were very dominant in a lot of their matches yesterday, with the exception of that last match going the distance with Area 77.
And the fact that they're able to really adjust their roles to give us that excellent performance really shows how strong they are. And let's see how strong they are against the Area 77 Angels as we roll ourselves into draft.
That's right, into the draft we go for the grand finals, MWI 2024 NA Open Qualifiers. This is going to be a blast, Private, finally making it to the final destination, grand finals, Reignfall, Area 77, and already seeing some quick bans on the table.
It's been a long road, maybe not as long for me as it was for you from those very long matches yesterday, but we are finally here. This is going to be a best of 5, folks. So it's going to be all the chance in the world for both of these teams to be able to kind of adjust to the drafts and be able to kind of meld around what their opponents have and where they shine. Starting us off on the blue side for first pick is going to be Reignfall.
Yeah, we are going to go ahead and see the Lu Yi and the Harith banned out for the side of Reignfall. Navaria banned out from the side of Area 77. 2 mages already taken off the table. Harith been one of the more dominant gold laners. The Masha has not walked at all today. Every team has been banning this out. I mean, we've seen just how much of a heavy impact it could have from all of the series yesterday, and I think it's a wise decision. There's still a lot of junglers on the table, though. We're seeing that Fredrin, that Barat still available for the pickup. Usually the Barat kind of gets prioritized a little bit faster than that Fredrin does, but you know who else is on the table? All the support heroes still up for the picking. That Mathilda, who we got to see in the first series today to kind of close it out to help Area 77 move on forward and take down War Angels.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I want to say there was a priority that was placed onto Carmilla yesterday that I have yet to see here today. Maybe, I mean, and kind of like, I think I was talking about it off screen too as well, that Carmilla in NA right now, I've heard the rumors. I've heard it successful internationally, yet to really have a huge impact here in North America just yet. So I want to say that it's probably scooted back when it comes to some of the priorities. I might eat my words as we get into this draft and somebody picks it up. Another thing of note here, with both of these teams, for the top 2 teams here in North America from the women's division, both of these teams have shown how flexible and their ability to adjust. Whether it's been like, I mean, Panda's normally the jungler. Nicolette has played mid at Roam before. Ashley has played mid. Now going to be playing the Roam position on the side. Area 77. This is I want to say a mix-up of what they had yesterday. They weren't all playing these same exact roles. And today they found a great amount of success. So that ability to adjust into those different things until you find what works is really kind of shining through. But with those bans, we're going to go ahead. We leave open the Matilda, and that is scooped up very quickly by Ashley.
Yeah, and now the Barats could be a possible response back from Area 77. They could go in still with that Rafaela if they want to have that support early in the draft. I wouldn't go in for the Angela just because there's still a Valentina available, which could take that Heart Guard away from you. But the Rafaela, you don't really have to worry about a Valentina taking the Holy Baptism to use against your team. Nowhere near what you'd worry about a Heart Guard. So I think they have some decisions. They are going to go in for their gold laner, though. Pick up that Marksman Prio. Try and get Apsy very comfortable. And that, like we mentioned, we got to see Apsy in the gold lane today. Didn't get to see Apsy in the gold lane yesterday. Yesterday, Apsy was running in the jungle. So there is a couple of changes on the side of Area 77, but it's been profiting more in their favor, as we've seen in the first series when they're able to get 2 quick finishes up against War Angels.
Yeah, interesting here. Area 77's very much a mirror of their last draft, especially when it comes to the picks. They're very much favoring that Natan pick, that early game burst, which was very successful with them in the last series. To hold that early game pressure, the invade, the rotations to the side lanes and getting those ganks here, but maybe not. Might have to have something in play to get them through to the mid and late game. You're going to have a Matilda on your team. You're going to have a very tanky front line with Nicolette as well, so you're not going to be able to have as much success when it comes to those invades. And then when it comes to those ganks, especially Panda on this Roger, we've already seen even by himself getting ganked. He's got just a numerous amount of abilities, whether it's the Lycan Pounce or transforming into his different forms, which allows him to kind of skate under abilities and CC to find himself and escape.
Yeah, and speaking of sustainability, we are going to go ahead and see this Florian picked up from the side of Area 77. Like I said, a lot of the supports were on the table. Mathilda versus the Florian. I feel like the Mathilda's a little bit better, but the Florian definitely can provide those heals. Now, this is interesting, right? They could have went in for a Minotaur. They could have had the Minoan Fury for the knockup, some crowd control, and then banned out possibly the Diggy or anything that could have gave that Minotaur a little bit of an issue. But they want to go in more for the support route. They kind of trust in the power of that Fredrin to kind of frontline a lot of that damage. Now, YQ. We've been seeing her kind of dominate in the XP lane. It's been such a heavy force. Usually prioritizes that Yuzong. Maybe Reignfall takes out that Yuzong, tries to get her on something that she's less comfortable on, because if not, that's what I'm pretty much expecting for the side of Area 77. I'm liking the way the draft is going for both sides, though. The Rogers can be very aggressive super early in the gold lane. Same thing with the Natan, but the Rogers just a little bit more aggressive than that Natan can be. But we know once we get to that 10-minute mark, that's where Apsy starts to shine. Like we said, from the first series today, we got to see Apsy just wreaking havoc in that gold lane for the side of Area 77.
Yeah, just to touch on something you mentioned about, like, they could have gone with a Minotaur. They could have gone with an Angela. They could have gone... Then that's the only question I have kind of about Area 77's draft right now is where does Florin shine? Where some of these other picks do not. So that would have actually probably, well, in my mind, might have been like a better fit, which would have offered you maybe a little bit more. You do know that Florin does have a little bit of CC. She's got the stun out there. Her ultimate is, the Bloom is activatable. It's a global ultimate, so no matter where she is on the map, she can, as long as she's paying attention to the mini map and the health of her allies, she can get that Bloom out to be a saving grace. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this is utilized, where possibly I think maybe like that Angela might have come out maybe a little bit as a better pick potentially, especially in the early game. But, I mean, we talked about it before. They have early game. They've shown us that they know how to get through it. It's that mid and that sustaining into the late game that you might want to have in your pockets against a team like Reignfall.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking a little rough, though. I mean, you have a Mathilda, a Baratz, and a Roger on the same side. That is like... That's like Thanos getting the Infinity Stones to snap his finger right there, and he has 3 gems ready to go. It's a little risky for the side of Area 77. Definitely need to be a little careful as they are going to be jumping into that heavily focused draft with not only crowd control, sustainability, and also some massive damage output all the way from the early to the late game. I feel like those 3 heroes can get it done. There goes that Valentina, though. We talked about the Valentina earlier. Here in this situation, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I feel like Valentina should have been a little bit more of a response maybe early in the draft to provide some pressure. But here, I don't really see too much of a profit for the Valentina. I mean, you got maybe the Detna's welcome. Okay, there we go. You can use a penalty zone, but it's still going to be rough because it's forcing you to jump into the team as the backline mage, which is kind of counterproductive right there when you kind of think about it.
Yeah, that is the thing that a lot of people don't realize about Valentina. You can take their ult, you can take the penalty zone, you can even take the Detna's welcome, you can even take the circling eagle. But what you will not have are the stats and those little sub abilities that they need, the survivability that allows those abilities to get close and not be a hindrance. But we're going to see if this works out for them. Area 77 taking on Reignfall here. This is going to be the grand finals, best of 5, Wheezy.
Yeah, best of 5, and we got to see these 2 teams fight it out yesterday in the upper bracket semifinals. Reignfall was able to push through in that best of 3, winning 2-1 though. Area 77 was able to get a victory off of them, so they definitely have what it takes to go that distance, and Reignfall not want to take them lightly, right? Reignfall, a team of superstars, like we said, that's competed in the NACT time and time again. Very familiar faces over there, but Area 77 still paying some homage to those out there from the original Area 77 that we've seen time and time again in the NACT season. So it's definitely going to be a treat to watch. Like we said, this is a best of 5 from both of these amazing teams, and of course, we're hoping this can go the distance.
Yeah, we're ready to see these teams clash. You already said they went the distance last time. Will this change that Area 77 has brought through be enough to kind of carry them through with, I want to say, the favorites here in Reignfall?
Yep, and then that's what we're going to be looking forward to seeing today, as we are going to be seeing the Baratz versus the Fredrin, both of them some of the strongest junglers you can pick in today's pro scene. So definitely some of the things checked off the board for both sides. When we're looking at the compositions though, right? We're looking in the gold lane at a Roger up against the Natan. Roger definitely can be a lot more aggressive, nice and early. Apsy's going to have to rely on the team getting these objectives and helping her get that farm to be able to get the economy needed to deal that damage toward that 10-minute mark, where Roger's just going to be alive as soon as she hits that level 4. So that's something to kind of keep our eyes on inside of the gold lane. Ashley, though, on this Mathilda, I mean, right now it has a 100% win rate in the MWI so far, and you don't want to take it lightly.
Yeah, you can see Ashley already providing a lot of, I want to say, vision for the side of Reignfall. Interesting, Sayori does have Impure Rage. Love to see the emblems so I can see if they have... Oh!
We just talked about this. The Roger He does not need much to get online, and Apsy, it's not the same story. To losing the 1v1, you have to play passive. You have to stay in that turret and let the Roger be the aggressor and wait for your team to kind of rotate around for those ganks. If not, Roger's going to start hitting a lot harder, a lot faster, and that's a good start for Panda getting first blood for Reignfall.
Yeah, I mean, doing such a good job, especially with that first blood. Now it's going to kind of set the tone for them. But I was about to say, Sayori doesn't have like the movement speed, so like the rotations to top and bottom should be a little bit slower. But as that happens, Weezy.
Ooh, you're going to see a Denton's welcome connect. Apsy will fall. Panda going to be able to pick up her second kill of the game. Going to go ahead and proxy up these minions as well. Major advantage so far for the early phase for Reignfall.
Yeah, and very quick and very decisive. They didn't need 4 players up there. They had Roger kind of come around the back there. Panda did a great job, and then they were able to kind of isolate them. Just a great job getting that second kill and kind of setting the tone for this next turtle.
Speaking of setting the tone, energy eruption goes out. Saku trying to deal some chip damage on Sayori. Ashley there to kind of kite her back to safety. Now, look at the turret on the top side. Already a lot of that gold plating's, all the gold plating's already been stripped off of it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm not sure if Apsy just kind of chilling under tower, very afraid of where enemies are on the map right now. So not actually pushing out. So, I mean, especially with a turtle going on.
Ooh, speaking of turtle, big penalty zone drop down. Nicolette will be able to get the turtle for Reignfall. Denton is welcome in for the stun. Quad knockup. Nicolette taking down Saku. But wait a second. Jewel needing to get out of there. Ashley alongside her. Sky very low. Push back into the mid lane. And you are going to see YQ force out of the turtle pit from the Eternal Guard.
Yeah, just something that some people just don't really discuss is like the ability to kind of like thread the needle with some of these heroes, to know, for Jewel to know exactly how much damage Rizla can take before expending that flicker to get out. I mean, like she had like little to no health left, knew exactly what she needed to do, get that damage in, flickered out, and not a single death on the side of Reignfall.
And we got a little bit of a request for a pause, so we'll be swinging back over to the caster's desk to kind of talk about what we've been seeing so far. Reignfall, off to a good start. Panda, able to get 2 kills nice and early, able to chunk in a lot of that gold plating on the turret on the top side. Looking like she may be able to take it on this Roger. We talked about the Natan needing the assistance from the team to be able to stay alive up there, and also relying on the team to take these objectives. Speaking of objectives, first turtle goes over to Reignfall as well. Nicolette able to claim that for them.
Yeah, I with Apsy kind of getting mauled there, I kind of feel like, especially up there during the turtle fights, Apsy was kind of just hanging out under the tower. I'm wondering if that was probably the reason for the pause as we kind of get back in here into the normal game, because like, I mean, you had all the vision on all the heroes, so you knew where everybody else was. So maybe a little bit of a lag issue there. Hopefully everything kind of gets cleared away as we go here into the 4-minute mark. Looking at some of these items here right now, already building a commanding gold lead just on Panda alone. 3,200 already, has that Wind Talker, and is going to be doing, I mean, already ahead a whole item over Area 77.
Yeah, going to be able to use those basic attacks a lot faster now, something that Apsy's going to want to have to watch out for. And both of those kills were from Panda taking down Apsy on this Natan, which is kind of even better profiting-wise. But speaking of profiting, 4-man rotation to the top side. Shinatsu trying to help Apsy as much as she can, but not going to be able to save her. Panda with the like and pounce gets a kill. Ashley will find the other. Chinatsu falls alongside Apsy, and down goes the tier 1 turret.
And that's unfortunate. You have to understand, too, when you see, like, that type of incoming, like, especially when it comes to 3 or 4 members, you have to give that kind of call that's, all right, this turret is not worth it, because if they kill both of us, they're going to get this turret anyway. So why not just kind of back up away from it? Unfortunately, a little late to the call there. Area 77 get trapped and cornered and not able to kind of form that escape.
Yeah, and second turtle on the board. Nicolette wasting no time on this objective. Good zonage from the side of Reignfall, keeping Area 77 from even being able to push in. Look at Panda on the top side. Just very comfortable, and now starting to farm in the jungle for the side of Area 77. Speaking of Area 77, Panda getting a kill, takes down Sky, gets a double, finds Shinatsu with the like and pounce. 2 members falling for the side of Area 77 and climbing and pushing into their jungle. Reignfall definitely taking advantage of the early game. Now Saku need to get out of there very low. Not going to be able to get that orange buff. It does get taken over there from Reignfall as well. And now Nicolette, foot on the gas, big stun. Panda to clean up the pieces, takes down Saku for yet another kill in her hand. 6-0-1 on the Roger.
Yeah, and this is the value you get out of a Matilda on your team. The ability to kind of just charge in. They have no fear. Nicolette has no fear. She's going to go in with that Detna's welcome. And then immediately, I mean, you have the support with that guiding winds from Ashley to pull you out if you needed it. And even at that time, they didn't really actually need that.
Yeah, just a lot of crowd control, a lot of sustainability. The Mathilda, like I said, 100% win rate so far, and it's showcasing today over there by Ashley. And the Roger so far from Panda has been very impressive. I mean, Panda all by herself was able to get that solo kill before even having the advantage on the top side. Absolutely, a little bit of that overextension was costly, and this is unfortunately going to delay that mid-game Natan that we're looking for, and it's going to make it more of a late-game Natan that Area 77 is going to have to bank on, as you are going to see the Tier 1 turret drop on the bot side.
Yeah, and YQ actually looks like they're in trouble.
Yeah, not only Tier 1 turret, possibly an XP laner will fall as well. YQ taken down by Panda, 7th kill of the game.
And just the ability to juggle the turret aggro. They had no fear jumping into that tower. They made sure to bounce the aggro, so each person took an equal amount of shots. They were able to find YQ without fear of like staying under the turret too long. And that's just what you're getting from the synergy of Reignfall.
Yeah, and speaking of synergy, still putting a lot of pressure onto this Area 77 side of the jungle across the river. Looking like they may even go in for this Tier 2 with just one minion with how aggressive Reignfall's playing right now.
Oh, man, right now, Panda 7-0-1 on this Roger. That is exactly where you want to be on a Roger. He's got that great early game. You want him to be ahead. And look at it, still farming, still able to clear out the lane, to give up that side lane, to still have that side lane pressure, while on the other side, Area 77 have started to ball up. They're not able to deal with all the lanes, but now they're going to look for, hopefully, a little bit of an engagement to maybe fend off this offense from Reignfall.
Yeah, definitely looking for the opportunity. May be able to find it. Reignfall yet again climbing up on these objectives. Panda will be able to take the Tier 2 on the top side, and nobody will fall in that engagement.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Reignfall doing exactly what they need to do here. They got those 9 kills. I want to say maybe not the most macro intensive when it comes to value for your kills, but you notice that the kills have kind of stopped here at this mark where they've just continually started pushing after tower. They're not really looking for kills now. They're just, they have the threat out there. They have that 9 death threat out there. So every single time they push forward, Area 77 has to back up. They're giving up towers, and it's an unfortunate seat to be in because you really can't contest it. You can try to go out there, but you might be feeding more kills over, especially with this type of gold lead, especially with 7 kills on Panda right now.
Yeah, on the Roger, mind you, which is definitely not the hero you want to kind of stack up on those kills, especially within the next, like, for the first 15 minutes of this game. If you're in Panda's sight, you're going down with how far Panda's farmed ahead of the rest of the team. So you're going to have to keep our eyes on her. They need to find an opportunity to possibly shut her down. They need to find a way to get their Natan online as well. If they can get Natan those core items toward that late game, I think that's where they could possibly turn this around. But Area 77, that's really their only option right now. I mean, you got the Tier 2s already bursted down in favor for the side of Reignfall. All the turtles have gone to the side of Reignfall. The Lords should be spawning in here soon. And I don't think you don't want to contest that. Not with this big of a difference in the economy. They really can't contest it because then you're just going to feed Panda even more kills, and that's what they would like to happen. So right now, I think the best optimal situation for the side of Area 77 is to play a little bit more passive, wait for the mistake to happen, and let their gold laner farm.
Yeah, and this is kind of where I would have loved to have that Angela here onto this composition, because you would have that early game pressure. You would have had a little bit more pressure in the early game, and a little bit more. You wouldn't need as many items as you would for like Shinatsu does for this Florin right now, who's seeming to have like not a huge effect on the play field right now.
Yeah, I mean, did just get the fleeting time though, so we'll have an even higher cooldown rate, which could work into Natsu's favor. But so far, I mean, Panda has been the star of the show right now with this Roger, even with the Quantum Charge being highly mobile. Has the Swift Boots from some additional attack speed as well. Just picked up that Endless Battle alongside that Malefic Roar and a Legion Sword. Is not somebody you want to run into. I mean, look at the gold difference. Panda has 4,000 more gold than Apsy right now, only 9 minutes in.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, Apsy literally just sitting there with a feather of heaven right now, trying to defend against Panda with the damage that they're able to dish out here.
I think we change it from the Feather of Heaven to the Feather of Hope, because that's what Apps is going to have to kind of lean on right now with the economy difference between both gold laners. Speaking of lanes, though, you are going to see Lord on the top side, now making its way to the inhibitor. A possible opportunity for Reignfall to open up this base. Big knockup with the triple penalty zone. Panda will be able to take the turret on the top side, get a kill as well, find Saku on the Fredrin. The Terrified, too much to handle. Sayori is going to get a kill on Chinatsu. Base Crystal taking a little bit of chip damage right now, down to 50%. May be able to close this one out. Reignfall looking for the fast finish. Claims game number 1 against Area 77.
Oh, you see the collective sighs of relief from Reignfall. They're possibly maybe a little worried from that game yesterday, but the little smiles and the claps there, they're very happy with that victory, and I would be too, especially a sub 10-minute game. That was very, I want to say, very impactful for the side of Reignfall.
Yeah, definitely very impactful, and you can kind of feel that impact even on the caster's desk with how bad they want that victory. That was a very fast finish. Honestly, that may have been a record breaker for them so far in the MWI 2024. So that's major, right? One victory down in this best of 5, but it is a best of 5, so still a lot of time for Area 77 to turn this around. Area 77, though, not looking the same as when we see them up against War Angels. War Angels, they were dominating in the early phase. I don't know if it was just because of the draft. Was it because they went in for that Florian instead of an Angela? Was it because they didn't pick up a Minotaur to have a hero that could provide that crowd control nice and early to deny the fast snowball by Reignfall? But nonetheless, these are answers that they're going to have to find as we jump in game number 2.
Yeah, one of the big changes for me that I'm going to be looking at for the side of Area 77 is you're going to need to have an answer for that Matilda. You're going to need to take her off the board. Ashley's just too strong, too powerful, and not just that, but you had an absolute awful time in that gold lane right now. Maybe Natan, not the answer. Maybe Roger needs to be taken off there. Maybe you pick up Roger. But, I mean, that was just not the way to go about it. Apsy had an there were some early kills there that Panda was able to get, and then by this point in the game, just so much damage. I mean, they were sitting at about, like, what, 12K behind here at this point?
Yeah, it was too much to count at a certain point. That's how far ahead they were. Nothing that War Angel or Area 77 could have did right there to kind of turn that around. I mean, the synergy from Reignfall was very hard to deal with, especially in the early phase. The objective prioritization, Panda, even on the 1v1 engagement, was able to outshine the side of Area 77, and these are things that they're going to have to kind of work on. Speaking of working on things, though, the one getting it right now is Panda on that Roger.
Yeah, absolutely great game. This did everything that you were supposed to do on a Roger. She had the best game you want as a gold laner. You're outmatching them 1v1. Then your team is coming up for support to help get more kills on there. You're pushing towers, and you were up literally double the gold of your opponent there. I want to say at the 3-minute mark, she already had an item over Apsy there as well. 8-0 and Wub. Just a great game played by Panda, and especially somebody who picked up this role, who mained jungler at one point and picked up this role to fit well into this team.
Yeah, she was going in for that Blade of Despair, too, with the double Legion sword. Oh, man, that would have been even worse if she was able to pull that out. Just some high physical damage at its finest, and well-deserved for the MVP for game number 1. But that's just it. That's game number 1. This is the Grand Finals MLBB Women's Invitational NA Qualifiers. We got to see which way this goes. Area 77, nonetheless, though, like we said, there's some things on the board that they have to check off. Number 1, what is going on in the early game? You cannot allow a team like Reignfall to take all these objectives and not find a trade. If you're going to allow the turtles to happen, you have to win in the gold lane. Number 2, gold lane. We're going to zoom in on that for a little bit. What happened between Panda and Apsy right there to allow Panda to get the solo kill? Apsy was definitely too far overextended, especially running that Natan up against the Roger. And I think this is the time where you have to respect these heroes and their power spikes, and you have to play into those. And that's what we're looking forward to seeing as the draft is now ready, jumping into game number 2 between both these amazing teams.
Yeah, another thing for me is the big thing about teams this high up is you're going to need to be able to pick yourself back up. Because too many times I've been seeing from some of these teams, once they lose the advantage, it's over. They start falling behind. They start losing rotations. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing at that point besides continually late replies to what your opponent is doing. And I mean, you have to expect that you're going to fall behind at some point. You're going to get a tower taken. You're going to lose to a gank. You're going to lose an objective. You need to be able to kind of create something somewhere else on the map. If you're losing turtle fight, you're going to need to maybe look for a gank on a side lane. If you're starting to fall behind on gold so you can't get those objectives, look for those lanes during the turtle fights. Maybe you don't need to clash. You don't need to clash for those objectives. This is kind of the opposite of what we saw from Area 77 in the last game, where they were forcing out the Angels at a point where they couldn't even contest these turtles. And at that point, the Angels should have been looking for answers in the side lanes, anywhere else but these turtles, but still weren't able to find it. Here, Area 77 finding themselves on the back foot. But in answer, they are going to go ahead, take off that Roger and the Barats here in this first draft.
Ah, man, but you know who's still walking? That Moskov is hanging on in there, wants to jump out for the debut for today. And it actually might walk here with that Roger being banned out. The Mathilda from Ashley still on the table, but this time with Area 77 having first pick. If it does walk, they could use it in their favor. I wonder if Reignfall is going to allow that to walk, though. Are they comfortable enough possibly going up against a Mathilda? There goes that Moskov, though. Again, 100% ban rate so far for today's games. Not going to be picked up, but the question still stands. Do we see the Mathilda walk here?
Oh, we do. Matilda, and I mean, if I'm Area 77, you better pick that up, because like Ashley was just such a menace on it. It provided the support, the sustain, everything you need for a tanky composition to help force you through that early game. They're going to go ahead and scoop that up. I'm almost insulted it wasn't faster than that, because it's like it should be like that immediate thing, kind of form your plan around it. I'm actually wondering how well they can use Matilda. In answer to that, Nicolette can go ahead, pick up the Fredrin, now possibly looking for a mage for the side of Reignfall.
Yeah, could pick up their mage, could pick up a marksman here. Maybe take the Natan away from Area 77. I mean, they know that that's a comfort pick over there for Apsy. It's been one of their stronger heroes so far, but they're going to go ahead and go in for the carry instead. So it's still guaranteed late game damage, just like the Natan. I feel like it can work just as well. But the only thing with the carry is it lacks a lot more mobility than the Natan does with that entropy. So that's something that you have to keep a close eye on. And carry kind of requires a lot more protection inside of that gold lane, especially with that mobility lacking, and especially when you have a Mathilda on the other side of the board who can dive in and get those enemies for a quick gank and bring those heroes on your side back to safety.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing for me is you have the Matilda, you have the circling eagle that can latch on to carry into the back line. Not just that, but if you're using the guiding winds beforehand, now you're worried about the entire team coming along for the ride into that back line where there's nowhere for you to hide. There were a few nerfs that went into Matilda recently. I want to say that you have to be very surgical now when it comes to using that ultimate, the circling eagle, because if you end it early without hitting any enemies, the cooldown on it is much longer than if you do hit. So you have to be very sure about those circling eagles when you use them. But we'll see if Chinatsu can go ahead and utilize that. Lilia and Claude picked up for the side of Area 77, and the Valentina pickup, which is interesting. I mean, you'll have the black shoes from the sky possibly, and then that does go ahead, delegates. It puts that fear into Area 77. Now we have to adjust what we're going to be picking next, because now we have to worry about what we're going to be giving to Sayori as an ultimate.
And that's the thing. I was like, you kind of read my mind right there. With the Valentina, it's interesting, right? I mean, there's not really too many ultimates here that the Valentina is going to just really thrive on. Yeah, you have the black shoots. That's just survivability to get you out to safety. That's not really an ultimate that you're going to use to get a lot of kills or provide some major utility for your team. But yeah, the fear. That's what it does. It puts the fear into the side of Area 77, especially with these last two picks on who they want to solidify into their jungle, who they want to solidify into that XP lane. And that's where they have to be a little bit more decisive on that. Now, so far, the Lilia, this is going to be the first Lilia we get to see today. It's been banned out every single game. And I want to see why, right? I want to see just how much of an impact this Lilia is going to have in game number 2. We know it's great in the early game. We know early for the 77. Honestly, it's like the Claude and the Lilia combo is like the best early game and the best late game. It's just used to be a thing so many times teams would prioritize that on the professional scene. But late game's checked off the table for the side of Reignfall, and I guess early game's okay with Sayori, but Sayori still is banking on somebody at least providing a little bit more utility that she can profit on.
Yeah, the interesting thing here for me is what do we have to battle the Fredrin for some of these objectives right now in the early game? I mean, you do have Lilia there, but I mean, the damage that she's going to be able to do is not really going to shake Nicolette because she's going to be able to kind of bring down the Appraiser's Wrath. Combine that with the Retribution, you're going to have a pretty sure way of being able to get these objectives. So maybe we're looking for something, some type of CC, some type of ability that can maybe stun or just get Nicolette out of the comfort zone while she's battling it out in the objective. Because the one thing that Fredrin shines in is his ability to kind of just stand there in the objective and just be that just nuisance there, that unshakable object there.
Speaking of unshakable objects, they're really trying to put the jungler, Saku, in a pinch right now for the side of Area 77. They ban out the X-Borg, who I would have said the X-Borg would have been okay. Can flex it to the XP lane, can flex it into the jungle. Nonetheless, it would have been picked up by Area 77 if it did walk, but it's a smart ban over there from the side of Reignfall. That Carmilla, who me and you kind of talked about, we've seen it kind of been more showcased and prioritized on the pro scene, hasn't been as prominent in terms of success for the MWI so far, though. We've seen it in the jungle, we've seen it in the roam, and it just didn't really profit. But speaking of junglers, we do see that Guinevere picked up over there. I was trying to think of what other options were available, and I think it's a really good one. The Guinevere has a spatial migration. It can go in to get some quick retry plays. It can go out back to safety with little to no penalty, and then you have a Mathilda alongside you to make that even easier in that process. You have the CC, though. I don't know if I would have preferred another hero with more crowd control. A little bit more than that CC, just because I feel like that's what Guinevere provides, that quick initiation, quick disengage. I think I would have preferred maybe something with a little bit more crowd control in the XP lane, but still, it's some valuable options for the side of Area 77. They can definitely make this recipe work in their favor.
Yeah, they can, and they have a lot of ability to initiate very quickly. They don't really have a lot of stunning. They have the spatial migration, but they have the ability to get in there, and then you have the Matilda, which will guarantee at least an escape for your team if things start to get a little hairy for them. But we are set. These are the picks, and how do you feel about the draft here, Weezy?
You were just talking about the Matilda for the survivability and the escape, and I was like, you know what? Technically, they have the Lilia too, so Lilia has the black shoes, and then the Lilia could get away with the Matilda as well. So, I mean, it's going to be hard to possibly kill the mid laner for the side of Area 77. But the way the draft is looking so far, I mean, there's answers to both sides. I like the Esmeralda versus the CC combination. I think both of them are really good in the XP lane. They're able to kind of get to the back line at a moment's notice, especially it'd probably be a little bit easier for the CC just because you're rushing into a carry versus the Esmeralda has to find that Claude who has that BMI, who has a lot more mobility and survivability alongside that Mathilda to keep them alive. So I think that's what we're going to be seeing right now is a lot more mobility and survivability from the side of Area 77 and more up front in your face from the side of Reignfall.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is going to be a tank Guinevere for Saku here. But this is going to be, ladies and gentlemen, game 2 of a best of 5 between Area 77 Angels and Reignfall.
That's right. Both of them jumping into this match. Game number 1 of this amazing series for the Grand Finals. MWI went in Reignfall's hands with a very fast finish. Will it be the same story in game number 2? Can Area 77 find a way to take the advantage in the early game?
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting here. As we were talking about that, as we're taking a look at some of these items, we do see that Impure Rage picked up by Saku. So is going to be trying to look for a little bit more sustainability when it comes to having the mana, not trying to go very early. Still want to see if they're like going for a tanky Guinevere here, because that would be my choice here with the squishiness of this team that we have.
It's interesting that Ashley went in for this Grok, but Ashley's Grok in day 1 was very impressive. There's not that much crowd control, though, to really need to negate a lot of CC. But I guess, hey, worst case scenario, if you hug that wall, at least you know you're not getting set by anything, even Saku on that Guinevere. So we'll have to see how this kind of plays into it. The Guardian's barriers were huge, though, for Ashley yesterday in her games. And maybe that's just the game plan. It's kind of to deny entry or an escape for the side of Area 77 on these engagements.
Yeah, and right now, both teams kind of taking their time. No real quick rotations just yet. Nicolette's going to go ahead and finish up here, looking maybe for a kill on the YQ.
Yeah, YQ need to be careful. Numbers not in her favor. Hit with the taunt of the Energy Eruption, proccing out that Vengeance. Request for a pause, but we got to wait. Battle has to go through. Praiser's Wrath. Nicolette gets the kill. First blood for the side of Reignfall.
Yeah, but that I want to say the person who was requesting the pause there wasn't even up at the top lane. So I mean that just goes down to some great rotations from the side of Reignfall, and then maybe Area 77. That is a big thing too when it comes to a lot of these ganks. And when it comes to a lot of the playing a side lane position, is you have to be very wary of what point in time you are, because depending on that, I want to say like at what point that you already know Fredrin's going to be clearing the lane, he's going to be coming up here at this point. Our jungler is going to be ganking that bottom, so I need to be a little bit careful, and I want to say just a little bit more aggressive on the side of Area 77 than I would have liked at that point in the game, when you should kind of be pulling back, seeing what your team is doing, seeing where everybody else is on the map.
And I agree with you right there, right? And that's what kind of separates a lot of the top teams in NA from some of the lower echelons, even in the top 8, is these small decisions and understanding the overall rotations in the game from start to finish. And, you know, what's interesting about this is it's similar to game number 1. This time it's just on the opposite lane. The gold laner from the side of Area 77 was the first one to fall before the first turtle on a 1v1 matchup. This time around, it's going to be YQ in the XP lane, but it wasn't a 1v1, it was a 2v1, but like you said, when you're XP laner, you have to anticipate the unexpected. You have to anticipate the gank to the top side before that first turtle, and you definitely don't want to fall before that first turtle, because that gives a major advantage on firepower for the side of Reignfall to be able to take this objective, and we know this is where they kind of specialize in. If you allow them to take control of the early game, they don't let their foot off the gas.
Yeah, and you were talking about it, your favorite role as an XP laner. You know how easy it is to kind of get all in your pride when it's you versus another XP laner. You really want to be able to push them back, but you always have to be wary about those ganks.
That's right. Always need to expect the unexpected, especially up against a team of Reignfall, who has a lot of superstars from the NACT. They know the rotations. They know these slight mistakes that players who are newer on the scene will make, and hopefully we can see Area 77 scale through this best of 5 grand finals. But speaking of scaling right now, objectives are scaling into the hands of Reignfall at a very quick rate, as you are going to see Nicolette take the turtle.
Not without its cost, though. I do like that Saku and the rest of Area 77 went and took the purple buff of their enemies, but in answer to that, Reignfall.
Yeah, we're going to see if we really like it, depending on who falls here. You are going to see both sides fight it out. Purple buff, though, does get picked up. You're going to see Saku fall. Sayori is going to be the one to get the kill over there for the side of Reignfall. Now up 2-0.
Yeah, I'm actually confused where that purple buff went to Chinatsu, or
yeah.
So I guess they got their purple buff, so it's a win there. Apsy finds a kill off camera to Panda.
I was right there with you. I was trying to figure out where's the purple buff at. You have to like really look at who has it. But yeah, it goes over to Chinatsu. At least they still got it. But Panda, yeah, able to get that kill on the bot side. Definitely a good start. You are going to see Areas. Oh no, Apsy got the kill. Finds Panda. So it's a good start for Area 77 to kind of turn this back around.
Oh, little trouble now coming in.
Yeah, looking like they were trying to rotate down to possibly defend them from pushing in this turret. The gold plating has been completely stripped off, though, in the gold lane.
Yeah, they're doing a much better job this game of kind of holding up that that early game, answering. They weren't able to get the turtle, so they immediately went for the purple buff. They were able to get back to their own purple buff to contest it. So they have answers now. They're not just waiting to respond to Reignfall. They're actually making plays of their own.
Yeah, speaking of plays, Ashley now going to join Panda on the bot side. Not going to allow them to press in any further to try and take down that turret. Knows that the gold plating's been stripped off, knows that Area 77 sees that as a vulnerability, and they're not going to let them exploit it with these, especially on that carry, who takes a lot of time to kind of rev up. This is a carry with a quantum charge as well, so it's not a carry with that Brave Smite, so she's not as sustainable by herself in that lane, so it's definitely going to require a little bit more eyes on from the side of Reignfall.
Yeah, and also doesn't have that vengeance either. So you've got the purify. So you've basically traded in a lot of the survivability that you usually get, and especially for somebody like Carrie, you have to be very careful about that. So we've talked about the range, how close she needs to be to potentially get caught. And here, Reignfall, another uncontested objective, but on the other side, clearing out their jungle is Area 77.
Yeah, it's going to be a mirrored trade from both sides, but this may actually work more in Reignfall's favor. And the reason being is this is the gold lane, right? Panda's still in the gold lane. The marksman, Apsy, decided to rotate to the top side instead. I'm not really sure if that was the wisest decision. They weren't able to kind of take it either, but now it's going to open up the opportunity to put Panda back ahead, especially after Panda fell super early in this game.
Yeah, that is an interesting point too, because you had Apsy rotate up. Usually you wait until you get the tower down, and then you go ahead and you start trying to put that same type of firepower onto the opposing lane here. You kind of put yourself into a little bit of a mismatch, because Apsy's not really going to be able to push too much onto an Esmeralda.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering. And now, I mean, it creates the opportunity for Panda to rotate to the mid lane and the top side. Sayori will find Shinatsu, though. One member falling for the side of Area 77. Find her first death of this game so far. Reignfall up 3-1.
Saku.
Possibly in climbing, though. Saku caught in a lot of crowd control. Panda able to get the kill. That's 2 members down for the side of Area 77 and a 5-woman rotation to the top side.
Yeah, and Apsy, I mean, sensing the danger in there, immediately backs off, and that's unfortunate. You have to do this because you don't want to get caught and ganked and give them a kill plus a tower, and this is going to go ahead and open it up for Reignfall to start the invade, starts refusing these buffs to Area 77.
Yeah, the map's definitely opened in favor for Reignfall for this game. 6 minutes in, 2 turrets down to none. And also able to take the 2 turtles. So they're still winning across the board objective-wise. And it's a little unfortunate because Area 77 did such a good job on the bot side initially with Apsy, able to get that kill on a majorly for the early game.
Yeah, and the thing is now we're not really utilizing this composition from the side of Area 77. I really haven't seen a circling eagle that really kind of met a mark. We did try a nice little spatial migration there, but did not find Ashley, who has that great passive on Grok to be able to... Oh, nice little wild charge.
Yeah, it's going to knock up Chinatsu down to about 50% HP, but on that Mathilda, Sayori trying to deal the remaining touches, trying to find the kill. Blazing Duet goes afar for a possible kill. Panda will be able to fall right there. Apsy is the one to pick up that kill. Sky very low as well. Jewel on the chase, trying to get the kill. Down goes Sky. Another kill on to the side of Area 77. Sayori will find Shinatsu, though. 2 members falling. It's a 2-for-1 trade right now. And the map event is still in favor for Reignfall. But wait a second. Spatial migration in. Saku trying to get out of there. Jewel on her tail in the mid lane turret. Pushed in by Nicolette.
Yeah, very interesting, and this is where that Esmeralda pick starts to come in handy, as you see a lot of them getting away with those a little bit of shield. Esmeralda, as we know, what does she like to eat? A lot of those shields. So she's able to get in there, do a little bit excessive damage, getting a little bit more survivability as she takes the shield from Area 77 from those fights. And I mean, man, right now, like I said, we're not really finding that CC on the side of Area 77. And I want to say we need to start being a little bit more choosy about some of our targets.
Yeah, speaking of targets, Area 77 still trying to provide some defense, trying to hold off Reignfall from pushing in 5,000 gold to 6,000. Panda in favor right now with the Golden Staff, with the Corrosion Scythe, has those enhanced basic attacks and the slow to be able to deal some damage.
Yeah, and we did see that the Demon Hunter Sword has been picked up by Apsy, so we're still going to have a lot of shredding ability. We saw a little glimpse of that earlier with that Blazing Duet up above, as they were able to still find the kill onto Panda as well. Oh, actually picking up a Demon Hunter Sword of her own as well.
She said, "Excuse me? I got one. Just wait a couple more seconds. Go ahead and pull those items up again." But no, yeah, Panda's definitely scaling a little bit better. But speaking of scaling, 2v1 situation on the top side, Jewel making the most out of the lifesteal mobility of Esmeralda. Going back in with the Falling Star Moon on to Shinatsu. Now needing to get out of there. Hit with the Energy Eruption from Nicolette and the Appraiser's Wrath combination. Shinatsu hit with the taunt. Nicolette with the kill. YQ now need to get out of there, as you are going to see Shinatsu fall. Another kill in hands for Reignfall.
And that's kind of what I meant about choosing our targets. You had both of them jump onto an Esmeralda, hoping to be able to not just burst down an Esmeralda, but be able to catch up with the amazing amount of movement speed that she usually has on here with this Jewel. They end up getting turned around. They're not able to find a kill, and it gives Nicolette enough time to find the flank and find a kill of their own.
And find a turret in the mid lane as the tier 2 will fall. Strip down to the inhibitors for the side of Area 77. And now focusing on this Lord for the side of Reignfall with no contest. Area 77 in a position where now they are forced to defend, forced to wait for a mistake from Reignfall. But again, they're not a team that makes mistakes too often.
Yeah, and with all of these purifies just kind of standing in front line, it makes it very hard for Saku to find the angle, find an opportunity to get in there with the spatial migration to be able to kind of find that Violet Requiem. It's and then if you don't have a purify, you've got Ashley on a Grok who really doesn't really need to worry about too much CC, especially with that passive that makes her immune to it.
Yeah, and right now, Ashley doing a great job providing these vision, providing these setups for the side of Area 70 or Reignfall. But you know, right now the star of the show, I would have to say, is going to Sayori on this Valentina. 3-0-2, highest kills of the game. And we were wondering how the Valentina would kind of play into this in the beginning, right? We were saying there wasn't really too many ultimates to profit on, but so far, it's been in her favor. Some great overall synergy from the side of Reignfall, as we are going to see this Lord push through the mid lane, a possible chance to open up the base for Area 77. Reignfall going to be the aggressor right now. The Lord is going to fall right there. Guardian's Barrier is going to drop down from Ashley, trying to trap the members of Area 77 from defending on this inhibitor, but able to clear out those minions for both the mid and the bot side. Can still play. Called out by Reignfall. They don't have the minions, though. Have to wait a couple more seconds, but do they decide to engage again? Are we going to see a round 2? Possibly on the way, as they are going to focus in the inhibitor for the mid lane, but quickly the minions will fall.
As soon as I saw that conceal go out, I'm like, oh, you have no minions. It would have been perfect at mid lane. They still are putting on the pressure, though.
Yeah, still looking to take these turrets. They're just kind of doing a lot of chip damage back and forth until they can finally take them down. But they're getting very low. And I expect with this next Lord, possibly Reignfall in a position to be able to open up the base for Area 77. Area 77 down by 10,000 gold.
10,000 gold at the 11-minute mark right now. They are having a heck of a time trying to hold off this onslaught from Reignfall. They have continued, ever since that Lord push, they have continued to stand here at the base, getting tower after tower. 2 more high grounds left for Area 77, and they are, not only are they being the nuisance here at the front line, taking down tower after tower, but now they're refusing gold. You're not able to clear out your jungle, and like every single time you try to get an engagement, I mean, you're met with the strong kiting ability and a strong front line.
And speaking of front line, Ashley Sayori just being a menace to the full 5-man team of Area 77, forcing them in the base, while you are seeing Jewel on the top side alongside Nicolette, both of them trying to clear these minions to continue that map prio and have the lane advantage, as we have 20 seconds until this next Lord spawns in. And right now, Area 77, if they even try and contest this, it's going to be risky. Being down by over 10,000 gold, I don't think they'll be able to take that fight, even with having Absi over there, even with Absi on that Demon Hunter sword. They're just so far ahead of them in the economy.
Yeah, and it's a problem when it comes to like the target focus, because you've got a lot of abilities that are kind of like AoE damage, so you're not going to be able to find that surprise burst onto Reignfall. You're really going to have to wait for them to make a mistake, get that back line into a blazing duet where they're not able to counter you, because right now, the moment Absi kind of dives into that back line, she is going to be chewed up by this team right now, starting to expand to an 11k gold lead as that Lord starting to loom through mid lane.
Ashley's fired up. There's a couple of recall spams right there. And an emote to let the world know they're the ones that are going to be holding that flag for MWI, but Area 77 still has a chance to flip that narrative. We are going to see the Lord marching through the mid lane. All minions have been synced, and the inhibitor is going to fall. Panda will be the one to take that. Shinatsu very low, needing to get out of there. Lord now making his way to the base. Crystal, Area 77 on a final stance. Sayori finding Saku. Absi finding Ashley. Panda taking down Shinatsu. Sky finding Nicolette. Panda finding YQ, and down goes the base. Crystal. Reignfall secures game number 2 against Area 77.
Another very dominating game from Reignfall. I want to say there is a reason they are favored here in North America. They're showing that just over 13 minutes for that match. So this one went a little bit to the distance, but the result is the same.
Yeah, the result is definitely the same. I think it goes to show without a Moskov, we're seeing under 20-minute games so far. But both these games have went into the hands of Reignfall, now in a position for match point to get a possible sweep up against Area 77. It's very hard to come back from a 2-0 deficit in a best of 5. Not impossible, but definitely more challenging. Area 77, one more shot to rise to radiance for a game number 3, but they're going to have to bring their A game and have to hope for Reignfall to make a mistake and take advantage for the early phase.
Yeah, and they're in a tough spot because there's been some very strong picks that they've kind of been shown up on. You lost with a Matilda. You lost with, I want to say, a pretty favorable draft from your side. And unfortunately, I mean, now you already saw they were banning the Barats. They were banning the Roger. Do we have to add Matilda to that early game ban as well? Well, you have to, honestly. That's not even a question. You have to. But what are you going to get for it?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to be looking at as we jump into the third game between these two amazing teams. But so far, like you said, the story is the same. Reignfall definitely showcasing to the world their synergy is locked in. They're the superstars from multiple different teams of top 8 in North America. And I mean, it definitely shows in their gameplay so far. Just flawless execution all around the board, able to take the objectives not only on the 1v1 matchups in each lane, but also inside of the jungle for the Lords, for the Turtles, and also the turret advantage.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me that we're seeing from Reignfall that we're not seeing from any of their opponents thus far is just how organized they are. Meanwhile, we can see here MVP going to Sayori at 5, a 0, and a 4, about 39 kill participation during that match, and I want to say a little bit over average when it comes to gold per minute, usually about 500 on a mage. That's just kind of showing the kind of lead that they had there for Reignfall. But as I was saying, Reignfall, like when it comes to these side lane ganks, they've shown what we saw from Area 77 is they'll use the 4-man ganks where you're covering the front, you're covering the rear, but Reignfall is just so synergized and so great with those rotations. They don't even need that. They just have the composition that will get the stun, get the damage, and help them get the escape from it as well, where they don't need to dedicate as many people to some of these side ganks as well. Not just that, but even when they're kind of sitting at tower, they do a great job of juggling the aggro from the tower shots. They do a great job of continually keeping up this pressure once they have the Lord. So it's just, as soon as they touch down and they start hitting those high ground towers, it's basically for a ride to find out something, because they're going to continue that pressure. Continuance coming. There's going to be another tower that's going to be assaulted by this team. And yeah, just Reignfall just doing such an excellent job of their macro here in North America.
And it's definitely showcasing, and it's something that Area 77 has to find a way to stop. They have to find a way to make them uncomfortable in this game, whether that's in the draft, whether that's in the early phase. Something has to be figured out and fast. Right now, they're in a position where they only have one more chance, or they're going to be knocked out of the grand finals, and will be claiming champion over the side of Reignfall. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and jump into a game number 3 between Reignfall and Area 77.
Is there an answer on the side of Area 77? We've talked, I mean, when it comes to statistical issues here, first of all, blue side, the first pick, usually pretty favored when it comes to a lot of these matches. You get that first pick. Even though you're countered out with 2 picks on the other side, usually that first pick, very, very important. We are starting off with kind of the same bans here. Barats, I'm expecting the Roger and Matilda to be banned on the side of Area 77. If not the Roger, the Matilda has to be banned. It's such a huge issue that they were not able to overcome in that first match.
Do we see the Moskov walk, though? That's the $1 million question right there. Do we see the Moskov walk for game number 3? That'd definitely be a treat to see. Yeah, Barat's taken off the table, though. Fredrin should be prioritized. I'm honestly almost going to bet if the Matilda gets banned out here that the Fredrin will be first pick, possibly for the side of Reignfall. I'm almost wanting to guarantee that one, but we'll see. Just because we saw the Akai gameplay from Nicolette yesterday, and it just wasn't as strong as we would have hoped. But you are going to see that Fredrin taken off the table. This reminds me of, I hate to say it, but this reminds me of a certain jungle out there that here the players try and limit all their junglers. You know, that it just reminds you the Barats of the Fredrin, man. You just gotta love to see it. And it's credit to Nicolette with how good she's been performing on these junglers so far.
But what we've seen from Nicolette is she does have a deep enough pool to kind of withstand a lot of these, even if maybe some unorthodox picks. We saw her very successful with the Lance, maybe not getting a lot of the kills, but able to kind of hold her own when it came to a lot of these objective fights. Maybe not as successful on Akai. Maybe that's something you steer away from here if you're a Reignfall. But, I mean, like, I almost feel like, I mean, banning her out it's not really a huge option. So her pool is just pretty deep. Now we're deciding: are we letting that Matilda go? Are we letting that Roger go? Are we letting that Moskov out there? This is the unfortunate position that Area 77 have found themselves in.
Oh man, you know what time it is. Moskov has not been banned out in the first phase. Reignfall has first pick on top of that as well. Definitely a high value target if they do want to slot that in nice and early. I wonder if that's what they're going to go in for. I mean, it's been one of the stronger gold laners. They could go in for another pick, though. They could go in for that Natan because they don't want the gold laner for Area 77 to pick up that Natan. They know that's one of their prioritized marksmen, and I think that'll be the response back to the Moskov if they do pick that up. I don't expect them picking up the Akai this early. Maybe. It just depends on Nicolette's hero pool so far. So far, we've only really seen the Barats, the Fredrin from Nicolette inside of the jungle. Maybe he even has that Guinevere to sneak in there. But there it goes, the Moskov. We've been waiting to see it. It's been banned out every single game today. Game number 3 of the grand finals on the side for Reignfall.
I agree with this. While I feel like I like the Roger pick, I like how Panda plays it. She's very great on it. Giving the Moskov up gives Area 77 an out into that late game. He just becomes too strong, too much damage that he's able to get out. We see how fast he clears lanes. We see how fast, so like even at a defensive point, he's still able to kind of hold his own. Now you've taken that option away from Area 77. And I mean, it's probably no question to me of how good Panda would be on this, because she's just a skilled overall player in the first place.
Speaking of skill, though, not going to go in for the Roger, going to go in for that Natan. We kind of mentioned something that's more comfortability for the side of Area 77. Can fight from afar, especially up against a Moskov who likes to take it up close and personal. The Esmeralda, though, this has becoming more of a staple pick today in the MWI. Like we said, the Queen of Shields, able to kind of provide a lot of sustainability, able to provide a lot of slow as she rushes onto her targets. And that Falling Star Moon to be able to close the distance for some quick engagements can definitely work in Area 77's favor. Last time we got to see it paired up with the CC. As a response back, both of them highly mobile. The Esmeralda did profit a little bit more in that game, though. But this time, this is Esme over there for YQ on the side of Area 77. Now, you know who's still on the table, though? Supports. Even though the Mathilda's gone, the Angela is still a valuable option. So is that Valentina, though, for the mid lane. So if the Angela is picked up from the side of Area 77, technically the Heart Guard can still go to the side of Reignfall.
Yeah, very interesting here that we start off with the Esmeralda, start off with the Natan. That's your XP laner. That's going to be your marksman. That's already giving you a heavy amount of magic damage, which is kind of leaning towards maybe one style of defense for the side of Reignfall. You haven't even picked up your mage, which is going to be another magic damage on the side of Area 77. So I want to say you're showing your cards a little early here. On the opposite side, I do like this Valentina. This, as often as Valentina's been picked up, I feel like this right here was like the optimal pickup for Valentina, because you have the Falling Star Moon. And you're going to have potentially a Minoan Fury.
That's the draft pressure that the Valentina provides, right? And they fell right into that trap from the side of Reignfall. Now the Minoan Fury will be on both sides, on top of a penalty zone over there for Reignfall as well. So you are going to have to look out for that. Jewel should be the one to kind of swap over there to that Terizla. Gives Asla even more profit to be able to pick up a support if she wants to, because that Terizla can kind of make up for the crowd control if that's the way they decide to go. Technically, Nicolette still could pick up the Akai, still could have the crowd control. And this time around, doesn't have to worry about too much damage like last time, where she was quickly getting bursted down as soon as she would try and initiate with the heavy spin. This time around, you really only have to worry about Apsy on this Natan, which is not too much of a threat as long as you can find a way to overwhelm the Natan. But Lancelot has been banned out. Another jungler. I was about to say, do we see the Lancelot again from Nicolette? Did a showcasing on it before, which means we're going to see Nicolette pull out a jungler that we possibly have not seen before on her, unless she goes in for the Sakai.
The interesting thing here is on the side of you've got a lot of tankiness, you've got the magic damage. I almost feel like you're going to need you don't want the typical tanky jungler here. You've got enough tankiness on your team. We saw what happened before. When you get too much tankiness on your team, you're unable to kind of withhold that early game. By the time you get to late game, you're already so far behind. So you're looking for something bursty, something with survivability. I want to say the Paquito comes to mind as something that's got especially the physical damage burst. As soon as he gets that level 4, he's going to become a nuisance. I don't know, Saku, what kind of experience she has on a Paquito but that would be kind of like go out in my mind as what I would want here, especially because if you can kind of catch possibly catch the mage or catch Panda on this Moskov, you'll be able to burst them down pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we're going to have to keep a close eye on it. Technically, the Martis is available too, especially with MNO and Fury. Could be a possible counter to that. Even on the opposite side for Area 77, the Martis is good up against a Valentina and a Terizla because the Valentina has so much crowd control, and the Terizla to kind of top that off alongside it. And we have yet to even see the roam picked up from the side of Reignfall. So I think Martis definitely could be a valuable option for both sides to bring to the table, especially as you are going to see that Grok taken off the board, trying to limit Nicolette on the hero pool for the roamer. So we'll have to see what Nicolette does pull out here. Still can go the support method though. Like we said, Angela is still available, and they don't have to worry about a Valentina anymore because Reignfall has the Valentina. So if they do want to pick up that Angela and an Akai for the side of Reignfall, pair them both up together, I think it would be okay. I mean, you put a lot of into the hands of Panda for the late game and trust in Sayori for the early, but it's still a safe option I feel that they could pull out.
I was
You know the last time we seen this, Private. You know the last time we seen this. You know how
that's
that went.
exactly what I was thinking too. I'm like, we're not going to see possibly the Akai. Did not have very much success with it. What else do we have in there that's pretty easy to play, that doesn't really require a lot of mechanical ability? Balmond answers the call. Not just that, but you've taken away, just recently we've taken away one of his biggest counters, which is a pop-up. He no longer rolls out of his spin when you pop him up. So now you're going to have that lethal counter plus retribution, which is going to be a huge tool when it comes to securing these objectives.
That's right. Ballman is back, baby. We love to see it in the pro scene again. I remember the days where Ballman was the most prioritized jungler in the professional scene, and here we get it again with Nicolette to kind of stampede the way through. The response back, though, from the side of Area 77 will pick up this X-Borg to finalize their roster, and both lineups are locked in. Let us know which way you guys think this will go. Reignfall in a position to possibly close this out with a sweep. Match point up against Area 77.
Yeah, and this is it, ladies and gentlemen. They are looking for a sweep here. I mean, Reignfall, they're not even looking to take prisoners here. They're looking for Area 77 to bend the knee here with how successful and how much of an onslaught they've carried in these first two games, and especially from the early onset of it. Can Area 77 answer the call? Can they find the successful counter here for Reignfall?
That's right. A million questions on the board for us to figure out today, and both these teams will be the ones to provide them. Reignfall in Area 77. It's been an amazing journey so far through the 2 days of the MWI 2024 NA qualifiers, but we are finally here in the grand finals. Reignfall finally in a position to be able to earn that crown and move on forward to MWI. Area 77 in a position to be able to contest it and take this to a game number 4 as both teams ready to go the distance and rise to radiance.
Yeah, rise to radiance indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a Reignfall at game point, looking to put that final nail in the coffin of Area 77 here. We are at game 3.
That's right, and we get the treat to be able to see Nicolette on the Ballman. Not the jungler you see time and time again. The last time we've seen this on the NA scene was Moba Zane himself up against Gaming Gladiators in the grand finals after a heavy focus ban on his junglers, which is similar to what we've seen in the draft today for this game. It's like history repeating itself with two other amazing competitors. But nonetheless, like we said, a lot of objectives on the board that have to be claimed for both sides. The Ballman, who doesn't have to really worry about the pop-up anymore, has that lethal counter and that retribution to work in his favor. But on the opposing side, X-Borg in the jungle, who we seen kind of ran today, but had a little bit of a harder time getting online early with the neutral objectives. X-Borg definitely needing the advantage of the early game.
Balmond, basically that game point midnight special here for Reignfall. I mean, this is exactly this is just has midnight written all over it as they go ahead and clash. Now Nicolette looking for some damage, does not have the lethal counter just yet. Saku in trouble. Lethal counter comes out, but it's not going to be enough to take them down. YQ still putting on the damage. Pop-up misses from Ashley. Both teams amazingly walk away with 0 deaths.
Yeah, 0 deaths. Did get that lethal counter off last second. That's some high IQ.
And as you say that, oh, a little bit of a flicker into a pop-up, not going to land onto Natsu, but First Blood definitely going over to Reignfall as they have already begun their invade into Area 77 jungle.
Nicolette quick on the aggressive gameplay, quick on the objective, sniffs out the low HP enemy on Area 77 side, takes down Saku right there to be able to get First Blood, and now going to possibly make quick work of this turtle all by herself. YQ there for a possible denial, though. Sayori pulling up alongside Jewel, both of them ready to fight it out.
Yeah, but YQ, what are you going to do here? You're not going to be able to get this Lord. Now you're alone against 2 or 3 players. Penalty zone comes in there. Jewel chunking down. YQ alone against 2 members. Going to use that flicker and actually gets away on the opposite side of the map. It does look like Sky was able to find a kill onto Jewel.
Yeah, Sky got a snipe.
And
Ooh,
now we're
kill
continuing.
Right there.
Sayori gonna go ahead and clean up that lane, but yeah, a great snipe by Sky there for it to answer. So now it's 1-1 apiece.
Yeah, it was a snipe from the mid lane into the turtle pit. Far extended range to be able to get that kill. And that was Jewel, the one to fall right there. First kill on the board for the side of Area 77. Both sides having a kill so far. Turtle going over to Reignfall will have the experience boost to kind of work in their favor. Right now, you are looking at the gold, still pretty equal between both. So far, the story has been told, though. Reignfall, usually a little bit more aggressive in the early game, usually is the one to kind of take these first objectives and these first turrets. And this time around, Area 77 may have a chance to deny it.
Yeah, and as we take a look at some of these items, Weezy.
Yeah, some of the items popping up on the board. You are going to go ahead and see the Arcane Boots picked up by Sky, ready to deal some Magic Pin super early. You are going to see the attack speed possibly being worked on by Apsy on that Natan. Is going to pick up that Feather of Heaven to kind of work in her favor. Right now, though, some good defense from the side of Area 77 on the top side. They don't want Apsy to fall. Like I said, one of the problems that's been working on the side of Reignfall's favor against Area 77 is the side laners being picked off super early in the game.
Yeah, and I want to say that it's been a good job here. Chinatsu on this Minotaur doing a good job rotating, getting to these lanes before that's happening. So to kind of keep this at an even kilt for both of these. Only about a 1K difference for both of these teams. Nobody has, I want to say, a very secure lead on this just yet. 2 minutes left on the next turtle.
Yeah, it is going to spawn in. Triple Brave Smite over there from the side of Reignfall. 2 Quantum Charges as well. So a lot of sustainability, a lot of mobility. Both sides fighting it out in the mid lane.
Oh, but they do go ahead and catch Chinatsu. We do have a Last Insanity out. YQ in a little bit of trouble, going to use that flicker to get out of harm's way. Jewel comes in with a penalty zone, does not connect, but it's going to be more than enough to chase away Area 77 and hopefully have an uncontested turtle.
Yeah, looks like they're going to be able to take this one with little to no problem again. And this is the same story we've been seeing between both these teams.
Yeah, and we can see here now up at the top, a little bit of damage coming in. Chinatsu comes in, is going to be able to get a little bit of top up onto Sayori, who's going to use that flicker to get away. Ashley and Panda very low, so they're going to go ahead, disengage from this fight as well.
Yeah, able to disengage without losing a member. That's huge. Saku does fall, though, 0-2 and 0. The jungler on the X-Borg for Area 77. X-Borg, who we said, has a very hard time catching back up when falling behind, and this is the same story we've seen earlier in this series on this X-Borg jungle pick. I kind of prioritize it more in the XP lane just for that pure fact of how hard it is to kind of catch back up. And that's what we're going to have to kind of pay attention to. But Area 77, they have a late game composition. They have the Natan to lean on it. They have Sky on this Navaria, but they have to survive to the late game for that to happen.
Yeah, and right now, 3-1 Reignfall with a little bit of an advantage right now. Still maintaining the gold lead, not something super out of the woods for them. They don't have this secured just yet. I want to say these next few turtles are going to really tell the story of whether Area 77 can kind of get these objectives, start finding targets of their own, and instead of just answering from what Reignfall is doing here.
Yeah, and the Seas for the opportunity on the top side. Entropy activated. Turret down to about 50% HP.
Oh, man, they're going to go in onto Saku, who's in a little bit of trouble here. Big Minoan Fury does land and pop up. Apsy's going to find a kill onto Ashley. And we do have a Last Insanity used a little bit defensively. Nicolette from the side, maybe rethinking that engagement onto the flank of Area 77. They do go up a kill. They do find a little damage on the Sky. Oh, and the spear coming out from Panda. Going to go ahead and put the finishing touches onto that kill.
Yeah, you are going to see a lot of items being picked up as well. Dominant Size from Ashley. YQ picked up the Dominant Size for some anti-heal as well. Golden Staff picked up over there by Panda. We'll be able to deal some enhanced basic attacks over there. Turtle spawning in again. This will be the third turtle of the game. Reignfall in the position to be able to take this with little to no contest. Panda will be able to take a turret off screen.
Ooh, very interesting. They decide against the turtle. Last Insanity is out. They're going to go. So I want to say good job by Nicolette. She decides against the turtle, decides to go ahead, push onto Area 77 just to at least give her team the space they need for her to be able to get this turtle comfortably.
Yeah, and there it goes. Another turtle for the side of Reignfall.
Ooh, and bursted down just like that. Ashley, even trying to use her Primal Wrath is not enough.
Oh.
Spear is out. Panda looking for an entrance, looking for an angle, is not able to find it. Last Insanity is out, takes out Sayori. Area 77 able to turn this around with 2 kills of their own, but at the top lane, Panda finds herself a tower.
And that's that Moskov, right? The later this game goes, it's a ticking time bomb, but at least they have the Natan. So we've seen a battle between both gold laners the later this game progresses, but so far you are still seeing Reignfall with the advantage, 3 turtles in and also up by 1,000 gold and leading the way. Actually no, tied up 4-4 in terms of kills. Highest kills in the game though is going over to Nicolette on this Ballman. You don't get to see too often, but still has been making an appearance on the competitive scene.
Yeah, and right now, starting to get forced back into their jungle right now is Area 77. Bautza still maintaining the gold lead as they were, a little bit under 1K. Nicolette eats herself an Astral Orb. That's just telling you how tanky and ahead Nicolette is right now. About 3 levels over Chinatsu and Sky. So that down. Oh, I wonder if she actually stole that from Nicolette.
Oh. Panda is going to be able to take the tier 1 on the bot side as well. Picks up the Demon Hunter Sword. We'll be able to soak into the heavy frontline composition on Saku, Chinatsu, and YQ with that Esmeralda, that Minotaur, and the X-Borg. So we'll have to watch out for that as we progress through this game. So far, though, stripped down to all tier 2 turrets.
Yeah, and right now we do have Nicolette in the fray, very close to death, and Saku's going to put the finishing touches with that last Insanity. Astral Echo is out, puts the vision and the eyes onto Ashley and Sayori, but not able to kind of finish up on it is Area 77. A very even game here, 4-5, just a little under 1K a lead there for the side of just for the side of Reignfall. So they still maintain the lead, but I want to say kills starting to go over to Area 77. However, map presence definitely in the favor of Reignfall.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. They're inching their way up the map. It might not be the highest kill game, but they're continuously controlling the tempo of these objectives. You are going to see the Lord spawned in. You're already seeing Reignfall in a position to possibly take this, but the push in from Area 77 for a possible denial. Chinatsu looking for a possible Minoan Fury. Does not have that ultimate just yet, though, so Area 77 is going to wait to engage on this fight. Right now, you are looking at Reignfall in position to be able to control the Lord Pit, though.
Yeah, and all the while, Panda is doing the best job that she can to farm on this Moskov, trying to take these towers while these kind of engagements are happening. And another tower falls to Panda, while YQ, pretty powerless, has to go back to base again, off map, to kind of contest this. And now we're just waiting for the opportunity for Panda to kind of come into some of these fights. Big Minoan Fury comes in, is able to find a kill. Chinatsu is down. Absi trying to run away, has that entropy out, trying to put the damage onto Jewel, is not able to find the mark just yet. Saku coming up here with YQ to kind of head the front line. Ashley, Nicolette lying in wait. They do charge in. Saku in trouble, trying to kite back with that X-Borg, is going to be able to create some distance. Now we have started with this Lord. Astral Echo is out, so we do have vision on all of the players. We have vision on the Lord. YQ finds a kill onto Ashley. Saku finds and steals the Lord. Absi finds a kill onto Jewel.
A turnaround from Area 77. A quick steal, Grand Theft Lord. In effect, a big play. Possibly be able to turn this back around in their favor. Ashley and Jewel falling in that process, but Panda was able to clear up a lot across the map during that entire engagement, right? Strips down the bot lane into the inhibitor and dealing a lot of damage over there to YQ in the process.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious what happened there for Nicolette. I mean, I see the Retribution is on cooldown here. So apparently maybe using that Retribution beforehand, didn't have it for that Lord. fight, and that was a big W for Area 77 from the flank here. Panda in trouble. Minnow and Fury goes out, but Panda able to use that flicker to get away, and that is going to be Chinat. Oh, just narrowly dodges a spear from Panda. The rest of Area 77 doing a good job holding up the line here of Reignfall. Sayori's going to have to back up into the tower. This is going to be a mid-tower down for Reignfall.
And that just shows you how much of an impact these Lords have in this game, right? I mean, they're able to almost even up the map. Actually, do even up the map from that Lord play. A very strong turnaround for Area 77. If there was a chance for them to try and find a victory and extend this series, this is it.
Oh, man, you were talking about that. We're tied up with gold, tied up with towers. Now on the back foot is Reignfall. Looking for an opportunity. We have the last Insanity out. Nicolette in trouble. Going to use that dash to get away. Jewel goes down, dives into the fray, but the rest of the team not in the position to help her. Apsy finds a tower at the bottom, but at the top, Panda, it takes another tower.
Maybe able to get out of there. Tries to recall, goes back to the base, but no punish. And this is keeping Reignfall in the advantage. 10K over there for Panda right now on this Moskov. Picked up the Rose Gold Meteor, has a Legion Sword, Demon Hunter Sword, Golden Staff, and a Corrosion Scythe, leading 10K to 9K over there for Apsy on the Natan. Does have the Bloodwing, Starlight Requiem, and the Divine Glaive, Feather of Heaven, and the Arcane Boots. So the damage is there from both sides, but right now you're looking at full build going quicklier to Panda for these team fights. And we haven't yet to actually see Panda in the team fights. We've just been seeing Panda being an assassin, just sneaking around the map and opening it up in Reignfall's favor.
Well, and that's kind of the amazing thing right now is we haven't seen her in a team fight just yet, and she's got such a strong ability. We have a Last Insanity lacking on to Nicolette. Has the explosion out there. Ashley comes in, has the flip over onto Saku, who is terrified. Last Insanity of their own, but no damage on it. Ashley's gonna have to back up. Astral Sphere is blocked from the back line. Jewel doing a good job trying to put on the damage. Panda has entered the fight and finds a kill very quickly. Now onto YQ and wants none of that fight.
Yeah, Lord spawned in. Looks like Reignfall should be able to shift their focus over there. Nicolette quickly will dash over there to start on this process with Panda by her side, who's now, like you said, Panda's entered the chat, ladies and gentlemen, and is ready to deal some massive damage. Not going to be rotating around the map to open up these turrets anymore, but going to be a big part of these team fights.
Yeah, Jewel in a little bit of trouble here, doing a good job. She did her job, though. She kind of held the line against Area 77, allowed Reignfall to get that Lord uncontested. But as you were saying, too, Panda is now in a position to be in this fight. Now has gotten down most of the towers. You don't really need a lot of split pushing power from her. She's going to be able to join these fights. Area 77 has been good thus far in a lot of these team fights, but it has been at the exclusion of Panda on this Moskov. Not just that, but just in case Area 77 do get ahead, you still have the pushing power of the Moskov. You still have the ability to clear lanes quickly, which is what we've seen from a lot of those 30-minute games from yesterday, is what he adds even on the back foot for a lot of teams.
Yeah, and speaking of back foot, Area 77 now playing on the back end, having to defend against the Luminous Lord in the 5-man team of Reignfall with the lane synced, possibly trying to find the opportunity to take the tier 2 in the mid lane and an inhibitor, but Apsy will be able to shut down that Lord, and you are going to see a kill. YQ will fall in the process. Ashley picking up the kill.
Yeah, and right now, a little bit of a struggle for Area 77. Down to high grounds. 2 lanes pushing in. They didn't sync up that lower lane. That might be a little bit of a mistake. You're not going to have exactly the full amount of pressure that you want on all of these lanes. Doesn't look like Panda cares, though. She's still putting on that damage down there at the bottom. The rest of Reignfall going to go ahead, reset on the map. As I say, the Yori dives in onto Saku, catches an Astral Orb for her troubles.
Yeah, and they're going to be forced to back off for a little bit, but I don't think it's going to stop Reignfall from pushing back in. Panda definitely online and ready to deal some massive damage to the side of Area 77 if they're not careful. Panda's had such good positioning on rotating around the map, but the map is still pretty much, even with Panda and all the split pushing that she's done, that one Lord really opened up this map for Area 77. I mean, they're only really down by 1 turret against Reignfall right now, and this is where we're going to say it's that 50-50. It's going to boil down to the team class and a mistake from either side. Definitely want to keep the marksmans alive, right? Keep Panda alive, keep Apsy alive. They're going to be the deciding factors on who kind of wins these engagements. So if they can kind of find some good positioning, already seen the Wind of Nature picked up over there by Apsy, ready to stop that physical damage as Panda decides to engage.
Yeah, and the thing here is you're saying you need to create this room. You need to be able to protect Panda. You have all the tools you need. You've got Ashley on this Edith. You've got Jewel on on this Terizla. You've got a lot of CC, and then you even have potentially the Minoan Fury coming from Sayori on this Valentina as well. So you've got a lot of abilities to just keep Area 77 nailed down. They're still holding their own here. It could be anyone's game. I want to say it comes down to the initiation and how kind of spread out they are when they're caught.
Yeah, and Reignfall with a lot of insurance on their side. Even though it's 50-50 for this game, it's not 50-50 in this series right now. 2-0. This is match point. If Reignfall wins this game, they will be the champions of MWI NA qualifiers. Area 77, they need this victory to be able to have a lifeline to continue in this series.
Yeah, and right now, it does look like we have the Lord up. Now we've initiated on to Saku. Astral Echo is out. Last Insanity on to 3 members. Burst down Jewel, who goes down in the name of Saku there. And on the backside, Ashley catches the pop-up onto 2 members of onto Area 77. Saku onto front line. Shinatsu taking a heap of damage. Is this a Lord fight that they really want? Ashley still at full health. 3 members of Area 77 coming in. Nicolette spinning to win onto Saku. Panda finds another tower at bottom. Area 77 have to answer that. They have 2 members down there. A spear is out. Panda comes in, trying to lay down the damage. That's going to be an immortality proc. Chinatsu running for the hills. Are they going to be able to find it? Panda has the immortality. Panda is down. Sky finds the kill there. This might be all that Area 77 needs to turn the tides. Nicolette going to find herself an escape.
What a play! Reignfall, a slight mistake working in Area 77's favor, as they are going to be able to take that Lord 3 members down for the side of Reignfall. Technically, they could go in and try and end this. They have this Apsy, full HP and full build, and I think they're going to go in for that opportunity. YQ picks up the immortality, and here we go.
You don't have the clearing speed from Jewel and Nicolette. You're going to have to sacrifice yourself to try to take down these minions. Maybe provide your team some time to come in. Big pop-ups lands onto Area 77 and Reignfall. Ashley and Panda are in the fight, looking for an opportunity. They decide against charging in. They did have the concealed play, but very wisely decide against chasing Area 77 down the lane. And just like that, Reignfall still in this game.
It's crazy what the difference of a matter of seconds can do, but the push on the top side.
Yeah, we do have the Last Insanity catches Sayori down for the count. That is 2 down. Now latching onto the core, 50%, 10%, and Area 77 tie up this series.
What a game for Area 77. A turnaround from a Lord play, being able to make it work in their favor, overwhelming their competitor. Reignfall with the numbers, able to drag this series the distance without allowing a sweep, as we are now going officially to a game number 4, game 3 in their hands, 1-2 against Reignfall.
Man, and they focused exactly where they needed to during that fight. They knew that Panda was going to be the problem. That last fight, they focused on Panda. Immortality was procced, and then they finally brought her down. With the Panda down, they were able to find the swing into their favor, and with that, the pressure and the momentum to push with that Lord and find the victory.
And it's unfortunate for Panda, with all that hard work, all that split pushing, in the end, it didn't amount to the victory she was looking for. Area 77, great synergy toward that late game. Definitely came alive. And like we said, even similar to War Angels, the later the game goes, they start hitting power spikes of their own in terms of synergy. And it definitely showcases right there a well-fought battle for them. And definitely excited to see this go the distance to a game number 4.
Yeah, I mean, amazing game there played by Area 77. A much closer game than the first 2 there as well. You can see here, I want to say most of this like kind of going over to the side of Reignfall here. They found the great ganks. They were able to find the disengages. Even here, when threatened at their own buff, you had Jewel and Panda kind of coming in here. This is where it turned around as they found the kills onto Panda. Panda gets taken down here again. The great kill there by Sky, which turned around this entire fight for the side of Area 77.
Yeah, and able to turn this around, able to take us to a game number 4. Some great synergy, using the Lord to their advantage to be able to close this one out. Still was under a 20-minute game, though, right under that 20-minute threshold. And this is the fastest game we've had with the Moskov in the mix so far for the MWI. MVP is going to go over to Apsy on this Natan. Natan, who we said time and time again, is a comfort pick for Area 77. Let's keep in mind, Roger was available in the draft this entire time. And you still saw Area 77 decide to go in for the Natan, and for a reason at that. Apsy, a great job.
You have to wonder how much of an effect that had on it. I want to say Apsy, that first game against Roger, Panda's Roger, she had the worst laning phase of that I've seen of many players in that gold lane. Here now with Roger not banned out, they go for the Moskov, and you have to wonder how much of an effect that had on a lot of these fights, where potentially a marksman that wasn't just split pushing might have added to the fights. I mean, you still have the value of getting those towers that Panda was doing. She filled the role that you're supposed to with a Moskov, which is the split push, get the towers, get a lot of get the fed on that Moskov. However, when it came to a lot of those team fights, I want to say eventually Area 77 was able to hold Reignfall at bay because it was a 4v5, because it had Moskov off in the distance until that very late game.
Yeah, we got to see the X-Borg start to profit with the just the Faraga armor, with the Immortality, with the Last Insanity, just open up a lot of these engagements and dealing some massive AoE damage. Definitely made the difference on some of these Lord fights. Even when Panda used the Spear Destruction, cleared the bot inhibitor, and then rotated over to that Lord play, got hit with the Last Insanity, it was quickly bursted down. And that's just some great synergy, some great gameplay, micro and macro overall for the side of Area 77. And like we said, I've been seeing them improve time and time again through this entire MWI. So we are going to a game number 4. Let's go ahead and jump into the draft. Let's see which way this coin flips. Again, though, Reignfall in a position for match point to be able to close this out. Area 77 trying to work their way toward a reverse sweep.
Yeah, and not just that, I just want to add 2 more points to the success of Area 77. Saku, with that Lord steal as well. I mean, it was just enough. I want to say without that Lord steal, they would not have had the momentum that they needed to kind of at least find an opportunity to start coming back. And that really kind of set the tone. Now we need to figure out another thing on the side of Reignfall was they started a Lord fight. They engaged with a Lord fight while Nicolette did not have the Retribution. So, like, you were basically kind of rolling the dice at a 50-50, and that's never really an opportunity you want to go for. You don't want that 50-50 at a Lord. You want the advantage, or at least your Retribution. At the very least, you want your Retribution, which they didn't have, unfortunately. That allowed Saku, the stars aligned for them at that phase there as well. Here, going for a different style of banning at the beginning here for Area 77. They're going to go ahead and take out the Valentina and the Roger, while Lu Yi and Harith taken off for Reignfall.
And not to mention a totally different technique jumping into this draft than they did in the last game. They were heavily focusing on the junglers for the side of Nicolette, but it looks like they're not really too worried about it no more, and looks like, and I'm excited to kind of see it. So yeah, the Roger's taken off the table. We do know that the Natan and the Moskov, both of them still available. Maybe see both of them actually jump through here in our game. I wonder if they're going to ban them out. If not, we are looking at a lot of junglers available. There goes that Fredrin. Barat's still a valuable option. I wonder if Reignfall wants to take out the Barats. Do they want to allow Area 77 to get such a strong pickup like that? Mathilda is still available. And now you got to make that hard decision. Do you give the Barats? Do you give the Mathilda? Which one do you want to give up? They're going to let them both walk as they ban out the chip.
Yeah, they're going to let them both walk, and I think you're assuming... and here, we've already proven Area 77 that the Matilda is not the one-all, be-all. We've already been able to beat you with the Matilda, so I'm assuming they're going to... Well, that's the thing. Do you pick up the Barats? Because we know how strong Ashley was on Reignfall with that Matilda, so you're in quite the predicament here on the side of Area 77.
I'm picking the Matilda. I'm not going to let Ashley get that. 100%. Like, I will roll the dice, and you can pick another frontline jungler, and we'll be okay. But, yeah, definitely over. But they're going to go for that Barats. So you know what's coming next. Reignfall should be the one to pick up this Matilda. for the jungler, for Nicolette to be able to kind of push in there. I wonder what she's going to kind of pick up here, though. Marksman still available. The Moskov and the Mathilda technically could be picked up here from Reignfall. They could just take the Natan. They could take the Natan away from Area 77 right here.
Interestingly enough, I assume that Area 77 is banking on the jungle being a second half of the draft type thing here, because I mean, and then they're going to ban out Lancelot on the side of Area 77, because I don't think you would ever give a Lancelot with a Matilda, because I believe her guiding winds count as a dash for Lancelot as well, which gives him a stack onto his passive as well.
Yeah, and could be a valuable option. We've seen Nicolette pull out the Lancelot before. She definitely knows how to play it well, so we'll have to see. Like we said, there are some jungle options on the table. There's a lot of mages on the table as well, even though we see the Lee and the Valentina off the board, the Vexana, the Navaria, still some strong pickups. Neither side yet to show what they want to run in the mid lane, but this is a good opportunity for them to possibly do that. Now I wonder, do we just pick up the Angela here? No, because then you have to worry about the Valent. No, you don't. Do you pick up the Angela here? No, they're going to go in for the Minotaur instead. It can be it could work because they already have the Mathilda, so they're not going to pick up the Diggy unless they put the Diggy in the mid lane. So I can see why they would do that. It's good crowd control. Maybe they would rather have the CC than the sustainability. But is that the right decision? Time will tell as we jump through game number 4. Carry, though. We were asking what marksman would be picked up for the side of Reignfall, and they're going to go in for the late game.
Yeah, that's a lot of sustainability and tankiness for the side of Area 77. They've got a very good composition with damage as well here as we move into the second banning phase. On the opposite side, I mean, we've got the good tankiness there from Jewel on this Esmeralda. Ashley's going to be able to have a lot of that regen and shield. Panda, it's going to be very interesting. I feel like we're very scary up close on the side of Area 77. If you get close enough to start doing damage to Saku, to Chinatsu, which is where you're really going to be effective, you're really in the path of a Minoan Fury, of a Detna's Welcome. And all the while, you're going to have Apsy be able to kind of run up the flank and put the damage to your side.
Well, technically, they still could run the Angela in the mid lane. It could do okay damage, and it could provide support for sustainability on the side of Area 77. Maybe they do try and lock that in for the second half. Navaria, though, we're talking about mages, does get banned out. Vexana alongside her. So, yeah, the mages are being limited. Lilia is still up for grabs. We know it was kind of prioritized heavily so far in the MWI. I wonder if that's what Area 77 goes for instead. I mean, there's still a lot of options on the table. But right now, something that's standing out is this Mathilda, right? Ashley, we know that was, like, very, very hard to deal with. And with the Minotaur, without a direct counter to be able to stop the Minoan Fury, maybe that could be the answer that Area 77 is looking for.
I almost feel like Angela would be a waste. I was actually trying to do the math in my head, and I was wondering if a hero can benefit from 2 flasks of the Oasis, but I'm pretty sure there's like a 10-second cooldown on it before you can get the shield again onto yourself. It's either that but here, this is a great answer there at the mid is going to be the Faramis out there. This is just heavy sustained. The only issue right now for me is damage.
Well, in crowd control, it's going to be a little bit of a questionable thing for the side of Reignfall, because I wonder, in terms of like setting up this team fight, I guess you're going to have the guiding wind to really go in, the Mathilda Airlines or the Falling Star Moon over there from Jewel. But is that enough, especially diving into like a Minotaur, a Barat for these engagements inside of these neutral objectives? But there's a lot of survivability. There's a lot of sustainability to keep them alive. Not only do from this Mathilda, but you also have the Netherrealm from this Faramis. So it's 2 things you can kind of bank on to keep you going through that long fight. Speaking of long fights, though, we are going to see another showcasing of the Eve. It did really well last time we saw it. Had the highest kills in that game, and it's going to be paired up with the Arlot, who synergizes actually well with everybody on that team. All of them have crowd control, and the Arlot is going to have a heyday with those dashes to be able to go in with that Demon Gauge. Both sides are locked and loaded, ready to go, though. Final pick on the board for Reignfall was the Carmilla.
So these last two picks, Carmilla, I've been talking about it before here in North America. I have yet to see it be successful. I know it can be successful. I've seen it on the international stage. I just didn't know if North America had caught up. We're about to get a taste of that as Nicolette has picked it up. Sky picking up this Eve. We saw it's not about the real world manipulation right now. Right now, Eve still has a huge amount of clearing speed and just speed alone to be able to get to the top lane, to the bottom lane, to clear out her minions in her mid lane, and even a surprising amount of burst damage just with her first two abilities alone.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to have to kind of keep a close eye on. I mean, it puts a lot in the basket over there on Reignfall for Panda on this carry. Panda did really good at split pushing, though. We definitely know she keeps her eyes on the objectives at all times. But she's going to be the primarily massive damage dealer that Reignfall is going to have to link in on. As ladies and gentlemen, we are jumping into game number 4. Area 77 up against Reignfall. Reignfall sitting at match point.
Yeah, and this is where the tide starts turning for both of these teams. You're still at game point. There's still that pressure on Area 77, but the momentum has shifted to Area 77. And as we progress, we'll see it. And if Area 77 can manage to get another victory, they might have stolen the entire momentum away from Reignfall.
Yeah, and we are seeing Nicolette run on this Carmilla in the jungle. We saw it in the jungle before. It didn't profit. It worked in the roam position, but in the jungle position, it is yet to be victorious so far in MWI.
Ooh, a flicker used there by Sky, who got pulled in by Faramis. Sayori doing a great job pulling them in there, but no worse for wear as either one. But Nicolette going to go ahead already, starting in enemy jungle.
Yeah, is going to go ahead and try and take some of that farm. Saku does spot her out, though. Is going to do some chip damage. I think Nicolette was the one to be able to get that farm, though, and now going to go in for some additional creep. Saku right on Nicolette's tail, though.
Yeah, but against 3 members, need to be very careful here. It does push Nicolette coming in. YQ. Oh, and a very smooth escape allowed by Ashley with that guiding wind.
Yeah, both sides revving up, ready to get to level 4. Chinatsu in the mid lane, taking a lot of damage, though. Now, on this first turtle spawning in, if Sayori gets level 4, it's going to be a problem. Having that nether realm at their disposal, not a Valentina to really counter it, not a Claude to stop the damage. It could work in Reignfall's favor.
Yeah, the one thing here that they're going to have on the side of Area 77 is the use of that flask of the... Well, we're going to have it for both of them. But you've got, I want to say, a significant amount of healing to kind of battle through. It'll be very interesting to see how the sustain game kind of comes out for both of these teams. Nicolette going to go ahead, start off on this Lord. Saku in a good position. Sky maneuvering around for the flank. 4 members of Reignfall looking for an opportunity. Jewel on the bottom to YQ. In comes YQ on to Ashley from the back. Jewel finds Chinatsu down to about 10% health. Turtle has been reset. You have 4 members versus 4 members, but Chinatsu is going to have to teleport home.
A good placement by Jewel in between 4 members of Area 77, but still zoning out Sky from being able to rush in and control the turtle with that RWM, and that definitely tells you Jewel is keeping her eyes on the objective so far, delaying Area 77 from finding that advantage. Is going to go back in for this turtle. Chinatsu may go in for the Minoan Fury setup.
Yeah, Jewel doing the best that they can. We do have the Curse of Blood out with the real world manipulation from Area 77. Nicolette still focused on this turtle. YQ gonna find the steal. Jewel in trouble. She's running for the hills, but is gonna get caught by the burst of Sky. That is a turtle and a kill for Area 77.
Yeah, 2 major advantages this early in the game within the first 3 minutes. Area 77 scaling through this series, not trying to allow Reignfall the opportunity for the sweep, and it's working. The pressure is not even phasing them, and a big play by YQ over there to be able to steal that turtle with the crowd control, with that final slash, no retribution needed.
Yeah, and even there, we see that Chinatsu just able to kind of mosey on into that. But Circling Eagle is out. Detna's welcome as well. We do have Sayori finds the kill onto Saka. The rest of Reignfall chasing down Area 77. Curse of Blood immobilizes Sky, but able to use the flicker to find an escape at their tower.
Yeah, now Ashley using this Mathilda. Gonna go ahead and recall. Let them know I am here and ready to sustain the team.
Ooh. Yeah, they're going to go ahead. They do get popped up, and the real world manipulation is going to find a kill onto Ashley. Nicolette in trouble, bursted down. Chinatsu's going to find the last kill there. Sayori unable to punish them on the side for that as well. Panda dodging, ducking, diving. Sayori in trouble, gets bursted down by Apsy, and Panda cannot reply.
My goodness, what is going on right now? Area 77 taking full control of the early game. 4 kills in, 1 turtle, and nobody has fallen yet. Apsy even picking up a kill, which is going to give her a major advantage on that Natan. Again, who Reignfall allows them to pick up. A marksman that has been profiting so much on their side now. 3,000 gold in. Still tied up, though, with Panda. Both of them still pretty even in the economy. But you definitely got to kind of pay some homage to it and keep a close eye on it.
Yeah, right now, 2K above right now for Area 77. Tower's still tied. Still waiting for this next turtle. Panda doing Panda things here, clearing out the lane from the backside. We have a gank onto Apsy. Has the entropy out. Is he going to be able to get away? Curse of Blood awaited him at the backside. Panda actually going to have to get away. Took a heap of tower damage for that gank. So they're not going to be able to find the damage onto this tower just yet.
Yeah, Saku, though, does get the turtle, and that is going to be a trade to be able to work in their favor. But they did lose Apsy, the gold laner, which we were just talking about. Having that kill gave her a slight advantage, but now it's kind of going to equalize the economy for Reignfall's side. You are going to look at both teams' current... Actually, Area 77 claiming both turtles so far over Reignfall. So in terms of objectives on paper, so far they're doing a little bit better. We got to see how Reignfall kind of responds to this, though. They have a lot more sustainability on their side, but the crowd control seems to be the thing that's overwhelming them right now.
Yeah, and that's the big thing here for them. And they've already adjusted lanes. You have YQ here kind of battling it out at the top. Now they're looking for another gank on the YQ. Ashley, Nicolette coming in for the flank. Big Curse of Blood comes out, and that is going to be a first tower for the side of Reignfall. Down at the bottom, you do see a little bit of a battle there. Apsy trying to battle it on to Jewel at the bottom lane. Jewel in trouble. Oh, better think twice about trying to go in on there. You know there's 2 people down there, Jewel. Make the smart decision.
Yeah, and Apsy should be able to take this a little no problem. But look at the top side. The left unchecked. Panda, again, on a mission on these turrets. Oh, she will be able to take the tier 2 in 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's just the damage you're going to get from that speedy light wheel. Panda doing a huge job. Oh, Saku actually looking for that Denton's welcome. Is not going to be able to find it. Now looking for a little bit of availability here at the mid line. The rest of Reignfall coming in here to support this defense.
Yeah, but right now, both sides able to take some turrets, but turn advantage in favor for Reignfall. Down 1 kill, though, and also down by almost 1,000 gold. Still pretty even. Say Area 77 scaling a lot better, though, in this series. They're starting to kind of even out the micro and macro up against Reignfall.
Yeah, and but I want to say you have got a great job. There's a point. Chinatsu actually in a little bit of trouble. Ashley dives in, does narrowly dodge the final slash from YQ. We're at a point where we need to start. Oh, Saku finds the turtle here. No contention from the side of Reignfall. But I was going to say we're at a point here where we need to start seeing Panda start joining these fights.
Yeah, and right now, Nicolette also with the Curse of Blood. Need to see some engagements on that with this Carmilla pick, who, like I said, have not seen be successful in that jungle position so far in the MWI. More prominent in that roam position where it did find a victory. On the bot side, though, you are going to go ahead and see Jewel trying to clear these minions, trying to open up the map in their favor. But a big play from Panda. Being able to take that tier 2 on the top side was massive for them in terms of the map advantage. But Area 77, what's keeping them in here is these neutral objective plays to be able to take these turtles, give them a massive XP boost to keep them in this game up against Reignfall.
Yeah, and they're doing such a great job of it, even with one member down, because you have YQ who has to answer these minions at the bottom continuously. And then the pressure from the top as well. Nicolette going to be able to find the buff of her own here. Meanwhile, Area 77 might have a little bit of a surprise for Nicolette. She tries to get... did she try to retreat that?
Did she? I think she did. Yes, she did try to retry it. You're going to see top side, though, right there. A lot of pressure from Apsy. We'll be able to take the tier 1.
Ashley gets scooped up there in a bad way. Minoan Fury gonna pop her up. A lot of damage coming out. Real world manipulation. Ursa Blood is not gonna be enough to help them. Absolutely gonna find the final touches there. Saku thinks twice about entering the tower range of a Reignfall, but not about entering the jungle.
Yeah, but right now we know how impactful those tier 1 turrets in the mid lane can be. And Area 77 looks to be the one to be able to take it down. Going to be able to invade into the jungle a lot more with ease against Reignfall now, being able to take that major advantage.
The big thing for me is where is the damage coming from on the side of Reignfall? The only answer I really see is Panda, maybe one ability from Sayori, but I mean, is this really taking advantage of the Curse of Blood? Is it really helping out right now? I just don't see it. Lord down to 50% health, not much of a contention that's going to be able to happen from Reignfall.
Yeah, and I mean, Reignfall doing a really good job. Even though they lost the turrets on the top side, they're able to take most of the neutral objectives inside of the jungle, the turtles and the Lord, but a good rotation. Panda is what's making the difference right now for Reignfall. Every time Panda finds the trade, takes the tier 1 on the bot side.
Yeah, and right now we have a Lord crashing through mid. Reignfall going to probably be able to take this down fairly quickly. My only problem is just I just don't see an out right now for Reignfall. Even if you get the Curse of Blood and you get a decent set, your only real CCs kind of coming from Jewel with the Falling Star Moon. There is a little bit of a stun on Nicolette's Curse of Blood too as well. Tier 2 tower being nailed on by Area 77 right now, and Reignfall going to be able to defend.
Yeah, trying to hold them off from pushing this in. Map advantage working in Area 77's favor. Sustainability does work out for Reignfall, but they don't have that damage. They're really going to rely on Panda to be able to dish that out to Area 77.
Yeah, that is another mid tower, and we are down to high grounds, except for top. We still have a tier 2 there. They did not synchronize these lanes. Area 77 might be a mistake on their part, but they still have the momentum in their favor.
Yeah, and momentum is sometimes all you need, and the tier 2 should fall on the top side. Apsy will be the one to shut that down, and now a possible play for some pickoffs.
Yeah, Denton as well, so miss. We do have the Curse of Blood coming out there. Jewel find a kill onto Saku. Big pop-ups. YQ finds a kill onto Panda. That's the only damage for Reignfall. They're going to have to back up now as Jewel in the back line, trying to sustain, trying to put that damage onto YQ, who expends that flicker to get away. And here comes Apsy with that entropy, trying to go ahead and burst down Jewel, who misses the exit and just barely gets away.
But look how much damage she was able to sustain just from having all that support on her side with Reignfall's composition. It actually may work in their favor. Though they have a lot of chip damage, they have a lot of sustainability to deal with the massive damage output from Area 77. But I don't know if that's going to work for so long. But we'll have to see. Like I said, the crowd control aspect, just the damage output from the Natan and Sky is definitely something to kind of worry about as we see in some of the items on the board. Taking a look at Panda, Golden Staff, Demon Hunter Sword, and the Corrosion Scythe under her tool belt, Starlit Requiem, Blood Wings, and you are going to see that Divine Glaive picked up over there by this Natan to kind of dish that back. Right now, Apsy's still ahead in the economy against the gold laner of Reignfall.
It's just, I feel like Reignfall is at the Homer Simpson approach of fighting, where they're hoping that Area 77 will punch themselves out before the end of the match because of how tanky they are. Denton is welcome, does connect. In trouble now is Ashley. Netherrealm is out. Saku finds a kill, and that might be it. Panda finds one onto Chinatsu, starting to prick and push forward. Panda finds another one onto YQ. Sayori finds a kill onto Apsy. Saku in trouble, running for the hills. 3 members gonna clobber her down. Panda with another kill there. 4 down for Area 77.
Oh, they're going to try and close this out. They have minions on the bot side. They're going to try and push this.
Can Sky defend against 4 members? Nicolette, they dive past this turret. Is this going to be enough? This is game points for North America. Right now, they're going to burst this down. And ladies and gentlemen, for North America, your queens and our representatives to the Mobile Legends Women's Invitational, Reignfall.
That's right. Now crowned the champions of the MWI 2024 NA qualifiers, earning a ticket out to Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, to compete in MWI. Rise to radiance. As we see our champions right there, Reignfall dominating the pro scene.
I wasn't worried for a minute. That was a close game, I'm not going to lie. Able to turn it around in the end in dominating fashion. They saw the opening, they pushed through, and able to secure the victory. Don't be fooled by those lovely faces. These ladies here are killers. Rise to radiance indeed.
Cute but deadly. You know, that's what you got to hashtag it. Yeah, definitely an amazing performance. Looked a little shaky, though. But one small mistake over there from the side of Area 77 costed them, and Reignfall was able to get the quick finish. And that just shows you as soon as you give them an inch, they take a mile. And now they're going to take a lot of miles to fly out over there to Saudi Arabia for Riyadh to hold that banner for North America as the champions of MWI NA qualifiers.
Yeah, huge hats off. The first ever female team representative for North America. This is, this is history being made here. Congrats both to Area 77, who had a very well played, very well thought out, especially when it came to the draft for the second game, trying to really hone in onto Nicolette when it came to the draft. As soon as they picked up the Minotaur, they had a lot more success in the engagements. Unfortunately, as things go here at the top, it just takes one mistake, and Reignfall found it, executed, and came away with the victory.
Yeah, and literally was able to close that out in a matter of seconds. If they had 5 more seconds, Area 77 would have been able to push them back out of that base, and they were able to create that opportunity and seize it for the victory and for that crown to be champions of MWI.
Yeah, and you can see here from some of those matches, I mean, they were actually had a lot of success here. They were able to take down Apsy here, but as you see from the top, Panda took a lot of damage there, was not able to kind of find the tower damage they needed. It took them twice as long to be able to get a lot of these objective fights. And even when it came to the Curse of Blood, it was very nary as useful as when it came to a lot of these fights.
And I love to be able to watch this series, right? Area 77, they were showing some signs of life the later the series went. Like we said, it's very hard to come back from a 2-0 deficit in a best of 5. And they almost did it. They almost tied up for match point up against Reignfall. And again, this is the first time we're getting to see a lot of these players on the pro scene outside of Reignfall, and they're still putting up some great competition. Keep in mind, Reignfall's full of members from NACT from multiple different teams, and you have new faces on the scene that are giving them almost a 50-50 trade in these series.
Well said, guys. The faces of NACT now coming together as the representative of North America in the MWI. So much to look out for these teams, and for the girls who fall, we might see them in NACT again.
I really hope so. Honestly, we always love to see new teams on the scene, and there's a lot of new faces out there that I have yet to see on the NACT pro scene, but they play just as well as some of the teams that are in the top 8 and could possibly make it to the grand finals if they hone that craft. So hopefully we get to see them, even though this is the end of them for MWI. I hope it's not the end of them on the NA professional scene.
Yeah, huge props to all the teams that kind of came together here for this huge event for North America, but none more than Reignfall, who from like the last interview that we had from them said they've been practicing since January for this composition, with the compositions, with the people that they had, and finally all of that kind of coming together in this grand finals.
And now we have an interview with Panda, Scary Carrie and Moscow, ultimately the queen of the victory.
Hello.
Hi, Panda. How are you feeling now? You're the first female team representing US in the world stage.
Oh my god, I feel so it's unbelievable. It feels surreal to me.
And lots of exciting plans before that, but I want to know, Game 4, how does it feel with your back against the wall? Because you did really well with the Moscow early game. You did a lot of spit pushing, but ultimately, you guys kind of fell back the momentum towards the late game. What happened there?
So the team was kind of disagreeing with each other again. and I tried to calm them down because I knew it wasn't good. But we got ourselves together, and I told them to keep playing around me because I knew I could carry a little bit better when they're playing around me. And they listened, and we're on the same page eventually. That's what happened.
And that they did. They played around you, and ultimately you guys won. So super excited to see you guys perform in the MWI. Any training plan for the MWI boot camp travels?
I'm not sure yet. I think my captain is gonna be more familiar with those things than me. I'm just here to play. Like, I just want to play.
Captain Ashley, eh?
Mhm.
And what is your goal for EWC this time? Any confidence on getting top 1?
Top 1 is maybe a far stretch. I feel like I'm nowhere near the girls that are in the C's playing. But I feel like my goal is to learn when I go there and just learn to be better. I take this as an opportunity to learn.
Well said. I mean, some of the girls teams, they've had girl leagues for many seasons. This might be the 6th season for some teams having a girls league. So you guys are a fresh new roster, but we do believe in you guys. You're being obviously very humble. Best of luck to your upcoming matches. Anything else you want to share to the audience for after that performance?
Thank you guys for supporting us. That's for one. And second, I want to thank the people that were helping us through the way, which was my coaches, my captain, everybody that were like individually supporting us. My friends, my manager, those people, I feel like they deserve a lot of credit for helping us through this journey. It's a really tough journey, but we did it. We finally did it.
Absolutely, and props to Coach Midnight. Obviously, he's also the coach for you guys. So best of luck to your upcoming series, and once again, congratulations on that victory.
Thank you.
The North America champions, the Scary Carry, the mascot, the one and only Panda.
Yeah, and the man behind the curtain, Midnight himself, doing it again twice. not only in the NACT, but also in MWI, able to get a team through as champions is definitely something to be proud about. But nonetheless, all these teams had coaches, and that's something to be proud about as well, as NA is definitely on the rise.
Yeah, big shout outs out to those guys who work behind the scenes tirelessly for a lot of these teams. The analysts, the coaches. We know for Reignfall, that was Midnight, who not only is doing the coaching for them, he's casting MPLI too. The man never sleeps, apparently, here. And a great job hosting 2 teams now that will be going to the international stage this season. So big props off to him. Big props off to Reignfall as well for the super hard work that they put into this.
And now let's take a final recap of our bracket, Stephweezy.
That's right. As we do swing into our amazing NWI on how things played out, a lot of amazing teams, 4 teams to be exact, able to step into the Land of Dawn and fight it out in best of 3s. Ended it with the semifinals. Area 77 able to go the distance up against Reignfall in that amazing best of 5. Reignfall able to close it out with a 3-1 fashion. But like you said, all of these teams were ready to go the distance. Want to give credit to all of them who competed. Area 77, War Angels, Mass Foxes, and also Reignfall, who are our champions for MWI 2024.
Yeah, huge props to all the teams. A great effort put out from the 10 hours yesterday to, I'm not even sure how long this was here today, but definitely not as long, but definitely just as entertaining, just as exciting.
Absolutely. We saw the best of the best women's league perform. This is only the first season, guys. More upcoming matches will continue in the North America arena for these girls, and we just can't wait to see that. Now, before we close, any final thoughts coming from our casters?
That's right, guys. The journey doesn't just stop here, right? These teams from North America are now going out to the international scene, and they need you guys to stand behind them to support them. So make sure you guys are supporting them in MWI. Make sure you're supporting our NA team in MSC as well. And we'll be alongside you guys holding up that flag.
Yeah, it's all the inner struggles are beside us now. We've had team versus teams. Now it is Team North America, and it's time for us all to kind of come together, support these teams as they move on to the international stage. Regardless of your thoughts, that's the big thing why I'm here. I love the international stage. I love supporting North America, and it has been an absolute honor to cast here along Weezy, along Liz here for one of the historic very firsts in North America.
We are the witnesses of history, and we will be the cheerleaders of the NA teams in their upcoming journeys in the world stage. Once again, thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you all for being so awesome. Hope you got some prizes, and we'll see you next time.